All right, everybody, welcome to the Thursday Night Forum. Pull up a chair, pull up a circle. You're all
Or a
welcome here.
bed. What
Pull up
about
a
hospital
chair,
bed?
pull up some trees, pull up your hospital bed. Do whatever you need to do to get through these last 24 hours. And it's always good to reflect. It's always good to take that extra day to reflect because I was feeling a little bit different yesterday. And let us
You were
know how
quiet
you.
yesterday, right?
I was
Quiet.
grouchy. I was grouchy yesterday after that result. Um, Took a couple hours from work, came home to watch the game. Um, Excited, really, really nervous for the game, but in the end, it was disappointment and a little bit anger watching those Manchester City players lording it in our stadium, in our house. Um, but I suppose in 24 hours since, I've realized we saw the areas of deficiency that we need to improve upon, the players and the positions we need to improve upon. And the manager has to be a little bit more proactive. You've all been saying it to me, and I saw it yesterday in this highest of highest games against Manchester City. With all of that being said, and Arteta does need to be more proactive. And I think he has some loyalty issues to some of the players. With all that being said, it's not over. Um, I'll show a banner a little bit later that will show you it's not over. Um, it might seem like doom and gloom, but we'll get into it. Might be a little bit of therapy, but for me, we now have a challenge. Manchester City had the challenge in the last few weeks. We now have the challenge to pick ourselves up and go to Villa Park in a must win game on Saturday. And I'm really glad it's the first game of the weekend as well. So that's my little diatribe. Let's go clockwise somehow. Let's do this. Let's get our first monologues in. So Gary, I've had my little piece to say. We will all have a little bit more to say, but what have you got?
Yeah, no, I expected us to come out. I mean, based on the way we had been playing, I expected us to play better. To some degree, we did, but you cannot make mistakes. We made too many mistakes for us to overcome. Um, it it's somewhat promising, but somewhat I'm kind of upset. You know, because we were better. We're better than the way we looked out there for sure. I don't, and it's doesn't matter who we put out there. We had mistakes in us, so I think a lot of the issues that we've seen and we've talked about all came to light in that game. I mean, coming into the game, I think one of the first things we talked about was Saliba. Will he stand up? And he actually did. I don't remember saying his name much in terms of how he didn't play.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think some of the players that we needed to depend on did not do that. And as you said, some of that is probably it's a mosh posh, I would say, of everything that at least I think's a problem with the team, right? Clinical, we're not clinical, making mistakes that we don't, that are going to hurt you and hurt you. All those things came to light. So perfect storm. Uh, First half looked really good, but if you look back at it, the first half needed to be our half in terms of
Mm-hmm.
us having a lead. Second half, they were going to come back at some point in the match, and they did. We didn't take our chances when we needed to, and that's pretty much been our issue all this season. Even though you look at our record, yes, it's really good, but we've had. You can look at. I've looked at many games and said, "Man, if we could just hit our chances, it wouldn't even be that close." And yesterday, or yeah, it was yesterday. Yesterday was one of those
Yes.
days where if we were more clinical, we'd be, we, there'd be, we probably would be a little bit happier right now. But That is where we are. It's a young team. We are playing without some of our starters. I've been told that's really not an excuse, but
Mm,
and reason why it may not be an excuse is because we still had opportunities to score. So it's hard to look at it. There's a lot going on in my head, and like
yeah,
depending on what things we talk about, hopefully we'll hit all of it. But in general, I think it shouldn't be a surprise the way the game went. It should be a surprise with the way the game went, and that's going to kind of be our thing for the rest of this season. The one thing I'm going to say is how we respond to this on Saturday will tell us a lot more about this squad. I think
Mhm.
they seem to respond in the first half, but we're going to need to play 90 minutes. We need to play 90 minutes. And hello to all those in the chat.
Lawrence and
I see
BX coming.
Lawrence and I see Big Gunner in the house.
Yep.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah. Welcome, Lawrence. New face around here. Lawrence said Jorginho, a replacement for Jorginho is really a replacement for El Neni, who got injured. I get what you're saying. There's not many players out there that are a replacement for Partey. It's like pouring orange juice instead of gas
Their
into
stats are almost identical for every season.
your car.
We didn't
Uh,
miss Partey yesterday. I know people said
yeah.
we did, but I don't believe we did. So
Lawrence says, I'm sorry, but Nketiah is not the answer to goal scoring issue, not consistent enough. And the assembled is here. Welcome, the assembled. Okay, Stan, let's get what your take is first go round, Stan. Can't hear you. You're on mute. Okay.
Arteta out and Edu is shit. Is what I'm hearing from
Yeah.
certain quarters.
I know you, Stan.
I would
of
like to
social
see you
media.
with that mindset because I can only imagine what it sounds like if it was
It would
real.
be really bad. It would have to be close to dropping very badly off the face
I
of
was
the
about
earth.
to
They
go.
went to a
Yes,
90-10.
I'm double recording this one. I'm going to keep it back up just in case.
But I also remember Lawrence Emmanuel. I've seen him around these parts before, I am sure. So welcome back, Lawrence. But for me,
Big up, Lawrence.
going into all season, I've been going into every match with confidence, and even in every match, should we find ourselves in a bit of trouble and we go a goal behind, I've never sweated. I've felt comfortable that we're going to figure a way out of it, and we have. After the Brentford game, though, before this game was even on the horizon, I was nervous. This was the only game that I was nervous about, and I was on a pre-show yesterday with Danny from a Burkamp, a Wonderland. So I have it, recorded that when my prediction was asked, I said that we would either lose the game 2-1. First time in ages that I've bet against Arsenal, but I had to give an honest opinion. I gave him two predictions because I couldn't choose. I said either a 2-1 loss or we would manage to scratch a 1-1 draw. I think that some of the play, I mean, Arteta can't win, can he? Because before the game and leading up to it, there was a lot of people saying that Ben White has been looking off his game, and Tomiyasu needs to come in. After the game, I saw people going, "What the fuck is he doing, dropping Ben White?" So it's easy to have hindsight, but these are the decisions that a manager's got to make. I'm very disappointed that we didn't get all 3 points, but I still think that there's a lot to play for this season. And even if we don't win the league this season, I'm not gonna slip my wrists, because this is a very, very young team that I think have overachieved. Therefore, they can only get better. And when we compare the standing list or the results list of last season, and we've talked about this before, we had those clumps, didn't we, of the losses? We had one quite early in the season, then we went on a few games, and we had another one. There was like 3 clumps of 3 losses. And so far now, we've just hit our first clump, haven't we? We've gone through, I think it's including the Oxford game, 3 games in a row, which we haven't been able to win. So for me, we need to bounce back now. If we don't get a result in the next game, I'm going to be concerned. At the moment, I'm not, because I'm thinking, well, maybe this is something that they needed to get out of their system, and let's hope now that we can string a run together. But if we don't get a win in the next game, then I'm going to be worried that the team has somehow got themselves into a funk and that they're not able to get out of it. And the best way to get of the manager and how his attitude is around the place, that's contagious. So it's up to Mikel Arteta now to make sure that these players can repair themselves. Because if you look at the stats of yesterday's game, We had most of the possession. Our passing had the highest completion rate. Thank you, Tony.
Stat man Tony's ready.
But I was very disappointed that the only goal that we managed to score it didn't come from open play. It came from a penalty. As grateful for the goal that I was very grateful of the goal, but we wasn't able to score in open play. And that is a big concern to me. So I'm interested to get on with the show and hear what everybody thinks of, where we went wrong. But for me, the 2 places yesterday. The first one was decisive mistakes that are costly. We made some costly errors, and they proved very decisive in the game. And at the other end of the scale, we had missed opportunities, which were also proved decisive for us. Had Eddie managed to put away that first header, and Tomiyasu didn't make that really poor back pass, the game could have taken on a very different complexion.
Yeah,
it really could have, in my eyes.
Goals do change games. Goals do change games. If we score that first goal, Zinchenko cross for Eddie, clear header. And look, the percentages of scoring headers are not as high as from the feet. But he didn't even get it on target to be able to work Ederson in that instance. We go 1-0 up there. We don't know if that Tomiyasu thing happens at all. It's a sliding doors moment a little bit. But Eddie would have more chances as well. Let's get to this question real quick, and then we'll get to Tony. Do you guys think that the return of the Europa League next month will hinder our title run-in? I do think, Lawrence, by the time the Europa League comes around for us, we will have a clearer idea of what our priorities will be. Whether that be we forge ahead in the league again against City, or we fall behind a little bit further. We will have a clearer idea then of what's going on. Do you think the return of the Europa League next month will hinder our title run-in? Tony, what's your thoughts?
Same drum I've been beating all year. Not clinical. There's plenty of games. We should have won 5 goals, 4 goals. Yesterday, Eddie, 2 clear chances on those headers. Both should have threatened. If we had Ali Giroud back there that scored 28 headers for us, we'd had a nice game yesterday. But one on target out of 10 shots is horrible. City on the other hand, 6 out of 9 on target. Totally dominating possessions. But then you had Zaka being indecisive with passing, Eddie wide open, or other players were cutting open. All you do is through ball to either player, and you can threaten a goal. But as Stan said, it was with mistakes that cost us. Tomiyasu did. But other ones I think everybody was at fault. Started in the midfield with Zaka. Then Gabriel took a wrong angle. And at that time, Saliba was nowhere to be found. So he is on the island. And most of the game, they were stuck real close together. It's kind of weird seeing that pattern of them 2 that close together. But they were shutting down Holland. Holland's a little dirty boy after this game. Should have had probably a yellow or 2.
Yeah. We're going to have a little chat about Holland as well, and how the referees seem to let his physicality go, leading up to passes into his feet and passes over the top. Stan, Edu can only spend the money that is provided for him, plus Arteta has a final say on who comes in. Look higher up the food chain. If Edu was to blame, he'd be sacked. Remember Raul. And Stan was just speaking tongue in cheek. Gary, second round. Here we go, Gary. It's a little bit hard. I think you touched on this on your first go round. It's a little bit hard to contextualize this defeat. There's parts of me says we played really well. We had the stats were in our favor. We had a lot of chances. We just weren't clinical enough, as Tony said. But then again, we got pickpocketed in vital areas. A little bit like Stan was saying, reminded me of up at Old Trafford. Maybe we chased the game a little bit at 1-1 in the 60th minute. And things started to cascade from there. How can you unpick it for us, Gary?
All right, well, I guess let's go with it. So going into the match, the first key thing was Bernardo Silva going to play on a back line like he did in the previous games, something he hadn't done most of the season, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked out for them that first game. And many people have said that Silva versus Saka should win that. That should be advantage Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
And it was to some degree, but it produced. I don't know if it even produced a shot, much less. It did produce a yellow eventually, but it didn't produce scoring opportunities for us. And that's, I think, one where we went wrong. Where we went wrong as a squad. Saka, yes, had his way with him. Needed to somehow make sure the officials know that he's getting beat up there, because basically, if it's not Bernardo Silva, it was Ake. Both of
Mm-hmm.
them getting to him, and he'll learn. He's still young, but I kind of felt like they should have come into that game knowing that, you know what, Saka, if you've got Bernardo Silva on you, you got to take that advantage, and we need to be able to get something out of it, a little bit more, some better opportunities to score. And I don't think we got those opportunities. And you saw what happened when they eventually decided, you know what, it's 1-1. He's got a yellow. There's 20 minutes left in this match. Let's just make a change. And that's where the next thing comes up, is Arteta and his inability to identify, when things need to be changed just a little bit. And they made the change first. By the time we made a change, we were already down a goal. As soon as Bernardo Silva moved up to the midfield, bang, they were on the attack. Right, he gets the ball, touches it forward, puts a forward pass up there, and they're on the attack. And that's pretty much how that last 20 minutes went. We were
Mm-hmm.
continually, basically, just trying to slow them down and not getting much. It kind of opened up the game for them by making that move, and we had no answers for it by the time we got Trossard. And I think Trossard needed to come on a lot sooner
Yep.
than when he did, because he came in pretty much after they were on a roll. It would have been probably best for him to come on sooner than later if he was going to come on and make a difference. So I kind of felt like I said, I think it's a combination of everything that you could say is a negative in the way that we play. I mean, the rotation. I've been asking for rotation forever, and I've been told, you don't need rotation when you have one game a week. Players are rested, but you bring a Tomiyasu in there and he makes that mistake. I don't think he makes that mistake too often, right? But he hasn't played in like a month or two. I think he hadn't started a Premier League match, I think, since we've come back, I believe. So what do he's going to be rusty, and that's the reason why you want to rotate your players, so that you don't have to wonder if they're going to be able to produce for you when you call on them. It kind of hurt us, his play there, but we've seen that before, so it's almost like something that they've planned that they do, because we saw Gabriel do a similar thing, making that back pass there under a little pressure and not taking the most efficient way to reset and kick that thing out of bounds and reset. I've got an alarm going off, so I'm gonna have to turn it off. I'll be right back.
That's the cue to pass the mic on to Stan there, Stan.
Intruder alert. Intruder alert. See, Gary getting it at shotgun as we speak.
There is a lot to unpack from this game, Stan. Pep was interviewed, and he said in the second half he wanted his players to be more aggressive, press really, really, really more hard than they had in the first half. And we know that they could break our press, but they still wanted his team and his players to take that chance and to just stress our backline. And they seem to focus on Zinchenko and Gabriel Megalegs.
Yeah. Zinchenko, he was supposed to be one of the players that was going to come in and lead us to the promised land of all of the experience of winning, lots of league titles up at Man City, but he's looked crap basically since he's come back. Yes, I'm just going to say it as he's looked crap to me since he's come back. And I, for one, I'm getting a little bit fed up of this inverted left back situation. I want my left backs to be left backs. I want my right backs to be right backs. I want my CDMs to be CDMs and so forth. All of this jiggery pokery and doing two jobs at once, sometimes it seems to work, but I'm not really down with it. In the words of the Rock, know your role. Know what your role is. And for me, I think that Kieran Tierney being made to sit countless now, week in, week out, I don't get it. It was only so long ago. It was only 5 minutes ago that we was calling for him to be club captain. Now he's not good enough to start games for us, because he doesn't slip into the midfield. What? Because he doesn't leave his duties as a left back. So I mean, I don't. That's something that I personally, I'm not down with that tactic. It looks good at some times, but for me, it's like a shiny new toy thing. Oh, we've not seen this before. It's excellent. It's brilliant. Like Tavares. Look at him. Look at him go. This is the same guy that ends up getting hooked at halftime twice. So sometimes you have to sort of not be not get the headlights in your eyes when you see this shiny thing in front of you. But Mikel Arteta just seems to loathe any kind of rotation unless he really has to. And he seems to have a favoured 11 that he wants to stick with. But that's not how you win the league. Everybody's got to play their part. And a lot of the players have been looking jaded. And I felt that if we were going to rotate, if it needed to be done, then it should have been for Brentford. Not risking us going into the Man City game with players that seem a bit leggy. If they need a breather, then you have to trust some of your second string players to come in and do a job against a team like Brentford. What's the point of having Reece Nelson if you can't come in and play? What's the point of that?
The one word you put there is trust, and that is the key to Arteta. Who do you trust is a song, right? Who do you trust or who do you love? But who do you trust, essentially? That there is key.
We're getting to a point in the season where he's got to trust players now, and it seems to be the same old substitutions. Martinelli, Trossard coming on for Martinelli. I think we've all been calling for Trossard to start games. He seems to stick with Martinelli, hoping that he will spark again. The other one is Ben White, Tomiyasu. It's Xhaka for Fabio Vieira, T-Bag. I just had to slip that in. Sorry. It is not even Kieran Tierney. You switch out one fullback for another in White and Tomiyasu, but Kieran Tierney doesn't get minutes, doesn't get 10 minutes, doesn't get 15 minutes.
Can I ask a question? Because you mentioned about Martinelli, not being on his game, and I've heard that a lot recently. So if you look back at yesterday's game, would you say that Martinelli was off of his game yesterday, or would you say that most of the play was being fed down the right towards Saka and Martinelli wasn't really getting a sniff of the ball, even though he was making runs into space? Because I would go for the latter.
I think Martinelli was worse than Granit Xhaka yesterday.
He hardly got the ball. I felt he hardly got the ball and was played into the proper channels.
He hardly got involved in the game. Trossard,
you can't get involved if the ball doesn't come
unless you don't have the ball.
No, if it doesn't go up your side, it has to first. It has to from the back line. It has to go up that side for it to even make it there.
and I get it.
We barely saw that, right?
And I get it. I get it if they were feeding the right hand side more, because up until they made their tactical change in their formation, Bernardo Silva wasn't getting any joy with Saka, and every time Saka if he did get past him, he would bring him down. I don't understand why the cards were so thinly distributed, because when he got his first yellow card, I was like, good, now keep targeting that side and make Bernardo Silva keep committing to get him off.
It took 4 fouls for Bernardo Silva to foul Saka 4 times. The protection for Saka is not there. It should be more apparent that the player is getting kicked every time he tries to approach the ball. The referee is supposed. I thought the referee had a good game, but protection of Saka, one of Arsenal's best players, is not there at all. I think it's no mistake that our right side is our strongest side. Saka, Ødegaard, Jorginho coming in, Saliba, and Tomiyasu pretty strong on the right. Our left side is not been functioning very well since the World Cup. Granit Xhaka slowed down. Martinelli's gone off form. Trossard should be coming in. So where do we go from here? All give, no take, Tony. Arsenal had a lot of play, had a lot of possession, Tony, but weren't able to do anything with it. We're not effective enough. And Man City laid for us. Were laying for us in the long grass, waiting for us.
As much as we were going down that right side, never looked too threatening. As Saka wasn't getting a protection he should have got. Should have been a red card because there's definitely 2 or 3 yellows early on in there.
Bernardo Silva, they allowed Man City's plan. Bernardo Silva till about 60 minutes, then he's going to come off for another player. We're not at that stage where we have an Akanji that can come on and Alvarez can come on. We've been handicapped with Gabriel Jesus out and Thomas Partey injury hurt us as well. Jorginho came in and played quite well, but we were always going to miss a Thomas Partey. And
I don't believe we missed Partey in this match.
we would have gotten a lot more with
We,
Partey in the
I
side.
don't think we just spent like the last 20 minutes talking about opportunities missed and mistakes created, and none of those had anything to do with Partey. Those mistakes could have happened with Partey on the field. So I don't think Partey didn't fix that problem. The
In the second half, we never got out in the second half.
the opportunities to well at that point, like I said, at 71 minutes they made that change. But for
Wouldn't you like
71 minutes,
Partey in there?
Partey wasn't going to make a difference after they got that goal. And like I said,
We don't know that.
the opportunities they got had nothing to do with Partey. They've happened with Partey on the field. I understand the whole concept that Partey's in there makes us better, but we had to. A lot of people are saying it's not really an excuse. We actually had a plan to play and win this match. We did. One, you had to be clinical. 2, you can't make mistakes. Right? Or 1A, 1B, essentially. You
Yep.
cannot give a
Two-part
team
plan.
like City opportunities like that would turn the ball over deep in your half of the pitch. You can't do that. And when you do that, they attack. I mean, Tomiyasu gets an assist with the way that he passed that ball, right? He kicks it out of bounds. Nothing. We reset, and then maybe they don't score, right? Ramsdale made many a saves up to that point, right? That some rockets shot at him. He put his hand down and cleared it. So we were playing the way we needed to in that match. And Partey, yes, he was out, but I don't believe that was that caused us any pain. The game was a low scoring, low shot game, right? They only got 9 shots to our 10. So both teams had to be clinical with their attempts. They were much more clinical than us. They actually took advantage of their opportunities. I mean, that one play that we've seen multiple times, Xhaka's got the ball, and he's got Nketiah and he's got Martinelli on either side of a defender, and he chooses not to pass it at all. Right? Then you got another opportunity with Xhaka. He comes through. He's got who does he have on that? He's got 2 players once again. He can pass it back to Erdegaard maybe for a shot.
Yep.
He hesitates. Boom. The defender goes to the ground and still gets the ball.
Yep.
So those aren't even considered shots at that point. So you've got scoring opportunities you don't even get to realize because
Situations.
we were not clinical in that final third. So
Yep.
This is not a game where Partey was missed. Arteta really had to plan together. The players did not. I mean, I always talk about it's the coaching sometimes, but he had a plan. At 71 minutes, it was too late because we don't have the depth. That was the difference.
Yep.
But for 71 minutes, we had an opportunity to take a lead. You see, when City loses those types of games, those teams don't make those silly mistakes. You don't gift them goals. You don't give them opportunities.
Yeah. Okay. Something Gary said, very true. I think we felt if it got to 65, 70 minutes, what we had on the bench wouldn't necessarily help us. That we needed to have a foothold in the game at that point, maybe a lead to hang on to. And we just didn't in the 70th minute.
Well, we don't there's no variety. There was no variety in our game. They changed their tactics. We didn't really change ours at all. It's almost like every time Ramsdale has the ball, it's like, I must play it out for the back. I must play it out for the back, even though he's got statistically one of the longest goal kicks. What about just a little bit of variety? Playing it out of the back constantly. I know that when we do that and we move up the pitch from kicking it out from the back and we score, it looks lovely. But sometimes, you have to have a little bit of variety to your game so that the team doesn't know what the goalkeeper's going to do.
Yeah.
If the opposition keep expecting you to play it out from the back, they're going to have a high line. That means that they've now left a bit of space at the back. Well, why not go along and try and get into that space, catch them out?
Mm-hmm.
I think the key word is sometimes we lack that variety, and I don't know because we don't have that much on the bench to really fall back on. But even so, yesterday I think it was obvious that at one point, well before we made our change, I was like, well, just can you not bring Trossard on for either Martinelli or Nketiah, just to change it around a bit? Either one of those two for me could have, wasn't really getting in the game as much. Even though the play was going down the right hand side, I thought, well, maybe Trossard can make something happen.
Yeah,
fresh legs and all that.
Definitely, I think Trossard has had the times that he's come on for Arsenal. He's done pretty well with the minutes that he's done. He helped with the winner against Manchester United 3 or 4 weeks ago now. So we've been sort of struggling for that amount of time. And yes, we need to go and fix up at Aston Villa. So Arsenal and Arteta have really addressed the issue versus the top 4 teams. Our record against any other team other than City is improving. We beat Liverpool earlier this season. This is really the level now where we're being shown. I'll go to Gary. We're being shown what it's really like, what it really takes now to assume the top level and be the best in the land. And we did have that lesson head to head against City.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between teams that need to stop you and teams that feel they don't need to, because they're just as good of you in most areas, right? I mean, the top 6 teams, unless you're at Newcastle, because Newcastle I don't think is set up the same as the other 5 big teams that we talk about, but they are. Most teams can just play you the way that they want to play, and one side is going to dictate to the other side how to play, right? I think that's what we saw when we played. And this is, I remember this. I believe during the Emery days, at some point late, and in the second half of the season, teams realized that what, it's probably a similar thing. If we open ourselves up, Arsenal will just destroy us. But if we get a little bit more defensive, Arsenal eventually will just turn the ball over for us
Yeah.
in dangerous areas, and we'll get opportunities. And that's kind of how a lot of those teams played us late in that season. And he lost his way there. Now teams know, until we have an answer, and I don't understand why we don't have an answer for a low block. I don't understand why we have, like, the first time it happened against Newcastle, that was like light bulb goes on, right? Everybody's like, that looks like a blueprint to beat us. So any team that's sitting low in the table, and we have a lot of games against teams in the second half, in the bottom half of the table, are going to play us.
Yeah.
Why would they not play that way? Because it seems to be working right now. Arsenal has no answer, and that's
a low block affects us, Gary, like kryptonite affects Superman.
I know, exactly, and we have no way to get that kryptonite out of there somehow, but we need to. We've got some smart people, I believe, in the building, right? Arteta has been on City teams where teams would probably try to do the exact same thing, and I have no doubt Pep had an answer for it. Yes, he's got better players, but there's got to be a process to break. We have good players too, right? Our starting 11 can compete with, it seems, 18 teams in this league, right?
Yep.
Maybe not with City, but the other 18, we have good enough players to compete with all of them.
Yep.
And I believe if you have the right coaching and the right plan, they can break down a a low block, and teams that weren't doing low blocks all of a sudden are doing low blocks with a manager in less than like a week. So it can't be, well, it takes a little time to install that kind of a thing. No, we've known this since Newcastle. So how many weeks ago was that? So we
2 months. Let's
yeah.
say 6 weeks ago, Gary.
So
Let's say.
so they knew what teams could do to them,
Yep.
and yet we still look lost when we see it, and that can't
We
be. Like I
lack
mean, like
a
I said,
cutting edge.
we
Yeah.
don't have we have the Arteta, as some people have said, he's stubborn. He thinks he can get his way all the time, and that's not true. Because the city we saw play us, is that the way they always play? No, they played a little bit. They play probably closer to the way that Harlan wanted to play, which is to kind of beat us up, right? Than to
Mhm.
just skillfully get around us and beat us with their technical abilities, right? And they
Yep.
were able to get that done. Well, why don't we have? We need to have answers, even if it's within our. It's got to be in our vision as a squad. But too many
The
games
answer.
have gone by now for us not to have an answer for that. To
Yep.
where teams get into that particular formation, and we still punish them.
And the answers have to come on Saturday as well. Let's get through a few questions here. Do you think that we had the right game plan to break City down? We produced many chances. A lot of them fallen, unfortunately, to Eddie Nketiah, because I say unfortunately because he missed a few of them, and a couple of chances where he could have possibly linked up with Erdegaard or Martinelli. Lauren said the only issue I have with Arteta is he has no plan B when things don't work out. Why persist with Saka on the right when he is more lethal on the left, and vice versa with Martinelli? There needs to be some kind of a mixing up, a shaking up. And maybe Nketiah's got to be the one to come out. Maybe Martinelli's got to be the one to come out. We've only been able to rely on Saka throughout most of the season. And a lot of the time he's coming infield to give chances to Martinelli and Nketiah. BX said that was a great game for 71 minutes. Had Eddie put at least one away, or if Xhaka had a higher IQ, we'd have won it. Would be no different. Would be a different conversation, of course. I think the conversation for me as well is realizing how well we played, and if we had a goal scorer worth, really top goal scorer that put chances away, or a forward that will put chances away. And Nketiah and Martinelli, for me, not helping up front. We weren't manhandled, and the score seemed worse than what it was. And if you want to jump in on those comments, go right ahead. Lawrence, I'm not sure if he gets big games nervous as the players seem unsure of themselves. Maybe it's being transmitted to the players.
I disagree there
You think-
because we played Man United recently, and that was I would consider that a big game, and we came out on the right side of things, and then we had to go and break that hoodoo over at the toilet bowl,
So
where we haven't been successful.
yeah, definitely playing Man United and that team. We feel like we are at their level, if not better, right? I feel myself. This game we sort of played. It played on my nerves because I want to be in the title race, and if it played on my nerves, it has to play on the players' nerves, feeling that you're in a title race and you got to play to your best to beat this City team. You know,
When's the last time we played City in a Premier League match where they haven't scored? I guess they did. They scored 2 goals the last time we played them last year, but typically it's a 3-goal score first to 3 wins.
yeah.
No, did they manhandle us? I don't think so.
Haaland.
I don't think so.
I
Not
feel
even.
like we got pressed. I feel physically. I think we got a
You
little bit out muscled.
I tell you what was
I
disappointing
think
about the score yesterday. Up until yesterday, Gary, we'd done Man City. I think a lot of the games that they'd been winning, they'd only been scoring like 1 goal. They haven't been like beating teams like 5-0 and all of that. And then
that's
You can't
yeah.
spot them 2 goals by turning the
Exactly.
ball over
So
deep in
Exactly.
your third, and that's
Did-
on us, right?
Did City play well, or did we gift them?
But we gifted them.
That's it. Those aren't like they pressed us and we just let the ball. We just let no. Those are could have been easily managed. Those
Mhm.
situations where they
Yeah.
got those first 2 goals for
Yeah.
sure.
Those were gifts that were neatly wrapped with a bow on the top.
Yeah.
I'm just asking the question. I believe I knew the answer. I had to ask.
Hold on, who's got the clown in?
That was my daughter not knowing I'm on a show and making noises.
Uh,
Oh, those clown
we-
car horns.
We've got too many players who are multitaskers and not enough specialists in their position, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think having players that are multitaskers and have that flexibility is not a bad thing. We just have
It
to
is
apply.
if you it isn't if you utilize them.
We have to apply it
If
right. Yeah.
yeah, and we don't apply it right because even when we like I go back and this is there everybody has, as you said, know your role, right? Jorginho joins us, and one of the things I heard was he could come in late in games when we need to manage the game and see it out. Brentford, we're up 1-0. Can we
for
bring in
7 minutes.
Jorginho
Yeah.
to manage the game
Yeah.
and see it out?
Yeah.
Nope.
I get what you're saying.
We don't bring him in, right, to manage the
It was
game.
eight,
and see it
8
out.
minutes between the two
You
goals.
just struggle. You've been struggling the last two games, right? You have an opportunity to bring in one of your new players to do what he does.
Yeah.
You don't bring him in, and I don't know if that would have changed things, but that his job, that was kind of the role that he was going to come in and do for you,
Yeah.
and we
it
don't
may
utilize
well.
him, right?
It may
Trossard
well.
has shown that when he comes on, he's a what do you call it?
He's hungry.
Flyer.
A baller.
Yeah, he comes in, and next thing you know, opportunities seem to open up for us, right?
Facilitator.
In a game like against City, as you say, you bring him in for Martinelli, doesn't change
You
much.
need to get some
because-
oil for that door. Whoever that
Yeah.
was.
I got some of those too over here.
No, but you know what I mean.
Someone's
You've,
entering the crypt.
you've got players that you brought in, and we're like, the man shows up in the big games. It's not bigger than him. It's not going to be an issue for him to come in and play against City. He scored against them. Have any of our players scored against them, as you said, in open play?
Saka.
No,
Last
in
year.
open play, like no,
Last
not last year, but no, but he's
That's
done it
Saka
already.
Actually,
So why
Saka
can't
has scored twice now in them
yeah,
season.
but
after
like in
season.
open play, right? So,
yeah, I get you.
but he's done that this season. That's one of the things he's done is he can play against the big teams, and he's shown up and he's produced. So so in that respect, it's a good pickup to get him, right?
Mhm.
And and that. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, Arsenal fans say we didn't have a good window. We didn't get our first choices, but we picked up two decent players in Trossard and Jorginho that need to now have more of a role. Jorginho was forced in there because of Partey. Trossard has got to start against Aston Villa. We'll talk about Villa later. BX Gunner said, we competed but fell short. What matters is that we bounce back. Exactly right. We should also have Jesus back for the away City match. Yeah. We need to have our full strength team if we're going to get anything up there. We lack clinical finishing for sure. Another hard game coming in. Villa. Emery will gladly take 3 points off Arsenal. We can't let that happen, Assembled. We can't let that happen. Ray, do you think the inexperience of the squad is leading to Arsenal playing the occasion instead of the game? I thought that happened a little bit, the occasion.
I also think not only is it the inexperience of the squad that leads to that happening sometimes, I also think, and I'm not having a dig, but it does lead to the inexperience of the manager also, I think sometimes.
Yeah, and look, it's a little bit, we're married to the way we want to play, and that's going to break down at times. We all remember Granit Xhaka trying to lift the ball over a Burnley player a couple of seasons ago, and we lost the goal that way. At the highest level against City, you lose the ball 40 yards away from your goal, and you're out of position, you're going to get punished. Unfortunately, Jack Grealish's shot being deflected by Tomiyasu. I feel like Ramsdale would have saved that otherwise. So yeah, I think the occasion got to us a little bit. I think at 1-1, we're trying to force passes where we should recycle the ball back around to the right back position when Gabriel Magalhaes tried to force that pass. Do you guys think we should call Balogun back from Reims in order to solve our goal scoring problem?
Nope.
The
We
reason why
can't.
the reason why it's working is because he's getting to play every day,
Yeah,
and
we
that's not
can't
the
do it
that's
now, right?
it's the same thing as Saliba. You weren't going to bring Saliba back mid-season because you just wasted bringing. Either he was going to play for you the whole season, or you needed to get him to where he's playing
Yeah,
at a particular level, and that's
we.
what you're getting. So the problem was never Balogun in the first place. It was who was our number two behind Jesus,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
and
And
I
for me,
believe.
the answer was never for me in Kenya. You
Yeah,
know,
I know. It was just like the guy standing there. We need a striker. Okay, you're the next man up. Um, and Kedia now has done what he did last season. He scored 5 goals in 8 games. I think he's got 6 or 7 in about the same amount of games. But the goals for Nketiah have dried up since the Man United game, and a couple of presentable opportunities. Balogun lighting it up in France ahead of Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar. Stan, you look like you want to say something.
No, I'm just typing something in my keyboard.
Hey, Stephen. Good of you to join us tonight. Teams have figured us out. Pep saw
Is-
things weren't working, so he went to Plan B. We don't have a Plan B. I expect more of the same from Villa. This is Arteta's biggest problem.
So I'm just looking at Eddie Nketiah is featured in 20 matches this season. He scored 4 goals and has no assists.
Like when he has started, right?
I'm just saying he's featured.
In the
in-
Premier
in-
League.
Yeah, in 20 matches this
Yeah.
season, and he's only scored 4 goals. And for me, I think part of the problem is that I still hark back to that we were shortchanged when we sold Lacazette and Aubameyang. 2 went out, 1 came in. So
Yeah.
now what happens? And a player gets injured. We're just down to one player who's got no competition. Who, if he has a bad game, knows that he'll be playing in the next game because there is no one else. That's not a competitive environment. I mean, you can talk all you like, right, about Martinelli going in there, but I just do not believe that we're ever going to see it again.
Yeah. What
There's
are
only-
the options?
Well,
What
there's
would
only
the
certain
options be?
there's only certain players that are
Trossard?
allowed a little bit of freedom, right? And that seems to be Zinchenko because he does 2 positions at once. But when I hear fans say things like, "What about such and such a defender who can also play as a CDM?" You know, no, Mikel's
No.
never going to do that in my eyes. Never.
It's
Never
nice to
gonna do
talk
it.
about, but it's not going to happen. You know what I
No.
mean?
So the only I think the only thing that might happen is if Eddie was to come out of the team, maybe he would give Trossard a go there. I just don't think he's going to put Martinelli in that position. Don't think we'll see that for a
Yeah.
while.
the only way Arteta is going to do anything against his will is because of injuries, right? Jorginho probably doesn't even play
Well, the most obvious thing,
if
Gary's
Partey's
got to be
healthy.
Trossard. The most
Tross-
obvious thing's got to be Trossard
Yeah,
for
but he hasn't
Martinelli
played
now.
yet, and what as I said, his first start couldn't have been in. It would have been nice if he had played, and that was the key to this whole thing: is how are we going to play in Brentford? Because we knew it was going to be a short week. We're going to have 3 games in 7 days or 8 days or whatever it is. You're going to have to rotate. Do you rotate for Brentford or you rotate for Villa? Right? You're not rotating
City.
for City unless you have an
Mhm.
injury. That's one reason why we actually made the change. White
Yeah.
coming out, I don't get. Like it makes no sense. It made no sense. You have a short week. You have the biggest
Well,
team you're going to play all season in the middle
some
of the
people
week.
are saying.
On
Some
either
people are
side of
saying
that, on the only you just
Tomiyasu. Some people are saying Tomiyasu was in the lineup because of Holland and his height.
I don't see
I don't
that
feel
though because
I
he
don't
had
yeah
Gabriel and
yeah.
Saliba
I don't
joining
think I
together.
saw Tomiyasu even affecting or even defending anywhere near
I
Holland
know.
in the
I
match.
wanted Ben White to match up against Jack Grealish. I thought Tomiyasu would be a little bit naive going up against Jack
Yeah.
Grealish, and I think Ben White would have done a better job knowing his game as well from the England
Yeah.
setup.
It's crazy to think that if City had just decided, you know what, this Bernardo Silva experiment isn't really going to work against Saka, and if they just played the way they finished up the match,
Yeah,
how that
they
would have looked,
they
right?
tried
Because
Bernardo Silva in the Villa game. It worked quite well for them, so they persevered with this.
yeah,
You
we're
know,
not Villa, obviously,
no,
right?
Haven't we
That's-
seen Tomiyasu do this before, though? I'm sure that he was out of the team for a while. This season, he came back in. Wasn't it the game where he played at left back? He done something similar, which cost us a goal.
Yeah.
And he was taken out of the team again. He's been given another chance, and he's ballsed it up again in the last game.
Because he came in against Liverpool and he did
Was it
right.
that
He did
game?
fine on the left. No, he actually
Oh.
shut down Salah in that game. That
Yep.
was one of those where we're like, "Oh, this is not going to be good." And next thing you know, like Salah's pretty much been marked out of the game.
That's
and we're
right.
saying,
He played him because Salah likes to cut inside, and they felt Tomiyasu would be suited to stopping him from doing that, right?
I
On
think
the
that
left
was a
foot.
reason for the change, though, because we've been doing this zonal marking the last 3 or 4 games, and we finally went back to man marking.
Balogun is right where he needs to be, getting game time and learning his craft. Bringing him back now would be a setback in his development. Tony, you shaking your head?
I would bring him back. I think we wasted his year.
Can we bring him back now, past the 31st of January? Can we do this? I don't think you can bring a loanee back. Well, maybe
It'd have
you
to be
can.
some injury crisis or something.
Maybe he's an
You'd have to-
Arsenal player, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get to the penalty.
The last time that Tomiyasu started a match before the City match was against Southampton back in October.
Wow.
Back in
Wow.
October is when he started a Premier League match, and we're going to decide basically 4 months later. Hey, we're going to play against City. Your game?
Oh, me and Gary's
I'm
been
seeing-
beating this rotating drum
I am
forever.
seeing slight. It's like an engine. It's starting to move very slowly. The mechanics of Arteta is starting to understand he needs to integrate more and more of his squad.
Did he not sit next to Pep? We keep talking about where his CV says I sat
Yes.
next to Pep.
Yes.
Does Pep not rotate his players around?
Do you know why Pep can rotate his players?
No. Every
he
team
spends
rotates
50
their
million.
players. No,
He's
every
got 25 players. That are
every
50
team
million each.
rotates their players. That's not it. We can't.
Pep has the
how-
quality, Gary.
It doesn't matter. You still have to rotate your team. You cannot play the same 11 for
You gotta
38
rotate.
games. It's never going to happen. It's not going to
All right,
happen.
but don't get it mixed with
No, it
what
doesn't
City can
matter,
do and
Ray.
what
It
Arsenal
doesn't matter
can
who's
do.
on the bench. That's why you go through this transfer period and make sure you get players that you can trust and you can put on the pitch. Or else, why are you spending your money and wasting it if you can't afford to put them on the field? That makes no sense. That's silly. I'd
Ray,
rather
can
you
you-
go out and spend $100 million on each player because you know you're going to play them, than to spend 10, 20, 30, and you're like, I can't use them. What's the point?
He spent 12 million on Jorginho when he's playing. He played.
He
because
was
of the
forced to
injury.
play.
He had to play him.
No,
Yes.
exactly. No, he
But
needs to
he split
rotate. There's a
minutes.
big difference between rotate and injury.
Right. Got it. White has not been the same since the World Cup. Whatever happened there, it is affecting his attitude in game and has me worried. Tony,
Ray, 22 games into the season, can you have a player that has 3,000 minutes?
which player are you talking about? Gabriel Megalegs?
Yep. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what player it is. They're
I
all
know.
way too many minutes.
Here, the situation,
You
though,
gotta rotate.
yes, we rotate. We're third or fourth right now in the league. We don't
No,
rotate.
we're not.
Yeah, we are. If we rotate players out throughout the
We don't
season,
have
we're going to drop
Europa
points.
or FA Cup.
We
or
will
any-
drop points.
How much have we rotated in the FA
Now,
Cup?
now we're going to rotate for Villa. We do need to rotate for Villa, for sure.
See, that's the thing. You think we have to do it now. No, we need to do it from day one. Like day one, there needs to be a plan, and I'm going to bring my
We're in more
players
than
in.
one competition,
right?
right?
Because that's why we look so bad, because those players don't get to play, right? They don't get to play enough, and especially in the Premier League. As I just told you, Tomiyasu hasn't started for 4 months, and now he's going to start against City. Why couldn't he have started against Brentford or Everton, right?
Yeah.
Before he starts against City? Because that was a move that wasn't injury related.
He started against City, and he cost us the first goal. Right? You start against Brentford
Because he didn't play before going in.
We lose the game.
Came in rusty. The man came in rusty. He hadn't played a Premier League. He hadn't played more than 100 minutes in the Premier League.
Gary,
This year.
Gary, rusty or not, you can play a back pass to the goalkeeper. That's not about games. That was a bad back pass under
He
pressure.
shouldn't have back passed it. He should have kicked it to the side. Where do you kick that, right?
I'm sorry. The professional footballers, they can't make mistakes.
No,
like
that's
that.
not true. You have to
At the
play
highest
certain
level.
players and keep them engaged. You can't
I
just
mean,
sit them on.
you
just
can't.
You
The
can't
player
just
was
sit
engaged. The player was playing,
You
and he
can't just.
passed it.
They are rusty. You have to bring them into the game. You have to. And I'm telling you, the best coaches make sure all their guys when they come in are ready to play. And the only way they do that.
He didn't play a bad back pass because he was rusty. He played a back pass because he was put under pressure and he wasn't able to do it.
He had plenty of time to kick that into his side.
He could have kicked it out of bounds. You're making it sound like the back pass was the only option.
No, I'm not saying that. If you make the choice to have the pass back to your keeper, you better make sure you're going to get it to your keeper.
I complain about Ramsey all the time. If you're going to leave the goalie box, you need to make sure you get there. And guess what? He doesn't always get there.
Yeah,
and he's playing every day.
I think even Ramsdale was kind of just saying to him like not to do it as well. I think he was kind of gesturing to him. I think it was a bad decision, terrible decision. I don't know if it's based on not being in the games and that, but it was just a bad decision. Didn't put enough on it. Should have played it out.
And you see Ramsdale could almost tell he was going to do it. He's like, God damn it, don't do it. You could just see the thought process.
Right. Like I said, we've seen that from Gabriel Margulis as well. So obviously it's either something ingrained in the way that we play out. We play on a.
We do that a lot.
We get pressured.
We kick it once forward, then we kick it right.
And they never look. They never you never see them glance or anything. They just blindly just try to get a foot on it, and they always miss, and it's always short.
The way we sort of self-destructed in the second half reminded me of Liverpool last season. We self-destructed a little bit there. We were the architects of our own destruction. And Nketiah should have scored before the goal. Kevin De Bruyne scores a really, really good goal based off of that mistake. Man City are 1 goal up. But we do come back, Gary, and we get the penalty late in the first half.
Yep, and that was probably a here's that should be the light bulb should have went on. Hey guys, you got a lifeline here.
Yeah,
you got a lifeline here. You need to do better because you know what they're giving you the games. It's 1-1 right now. Anybody can win this thing. Anybody can lose this thing, and play like that. And we did for a bit. But when things started to get stale and you needed to make a change, right? We always hesitate. And that's what we did a lot in that game. We hesitated too long, and by the time we decided to make a move, it was too late.
First thing you do, you take off either Martinelli or
Martinelli is looking like Pepe all of a sudden. That's a little bit harsh. Maybe Martinelli can come back a little bit. Trossard.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
I was surprised that it was a penalty. I didn't know what was going on at first, but I think the referee. At first, I thought it was a soft penalty, but now I can completely understand. It was definitely a penalty.
If he can defend that way, then attackers will never get shots off cleanly because they know the defender can just run into them at any time.
The goalkeeper,
right? And you see that all the time. And as I was listening to the commentary, I would listen to it multiple times. If that's outside of the box, that's a defender. They're calling it easy every time.
Yeah.
They call it every time because the defender knows I can make a rash challenge, a late challenge in there, and I won't get called for it. Nope.
It's not much different than a challenge Lehman did. They got a red card. Champions League final.
He came right out of his box. Yeah. Unfortunately, Champions League Hopefully, we can get there in a few years, 3 to 5 years from now. Hopefully, goalkeeper coming out like that, Stan, using his momentum, he goes right through the attacking player. For me, at first I thought it was soft, but now I've come to the realization those types of challenges around keepers can't just go through players like that.
No, like yourself, in the moment when it happened, must have been looking away for a moment, and couldn't understand why we were getting a penalty until half time. You know, when we were able to see it back. But the best thing about the penalty was you got Bukayo Saka standing at the penalty spot, and then for some reason Ederson goes,
Yeah.
"Psst, psst, Saka, put it in the right corner," and Saka goes,
All right.
"All right, I will." And he obliges, and I thought that was brilliant because he must have balls of steel, man.
Yes.
You know,
He's
especially
like, he's like, you know what? He's like, the Europa is not going to happen.
I mean, he didn't put
European
power on it
champions
either.
never
He
happen
just
to me again. Nope.
But you gotta feel like he's thinking that sometimes, but you gotta suppress those negative thoughts, right? I missed the Euro final penalty shootout, but what a great just pass it into the bottom corner, sends Ederson the wrong way. Ederson actually favoring that side as well as Stan saying pointing to the corner. Here, put it here. Put
I
it
hear-
exactly there.
I just can't believe he kicked it that softly. It's just like boop.
Yes.
I hear penalty takers when they talk about penalties that they always say that, you know, you should have your mind made up before you get to the spot of where you're going to put the
Yeah.
ball. If you
Yeah.
change it and you're decisive. So when I was watching that play out, that was in my mind, and I was thinking like, I wonder if he's put Saka off now. I wonder if Saka's going to change his mind.
Mhm.
You know, but he looked solid in that decision, and it was funny because Ederson went the opposite way, thinking that his bluff had worked, and
Yeah.
left the whole of that side open for him.
I think that's the only thing that
Then it seemed like he danced around for like 25
that's the only thing
seconds before he
goalkeepers
kicked
can
it.
do is maybe try to make them change their mind, you know?
Yeah.
Study the tape, study what Saka's been, what corner he's been putting it in, you know? And I remember he did that one against Liverpool as well. But really, really great penalty, Tony.
Yeah. I'd like to see a little bit more force in it, but it still got there. So
He didn't need to. He had the whole of the goal open when he went the other way. You know what I mean?
Okay, so 1-1 going in at halftime. You know, they do say it's a bad time to concede a goal before halftime, but if anything, you know, City went in with the idea that they're going to change some things. Pep didn't like what he saw. They came out with renewed effort. We talked about that already. Steven said, how did the keeper escape a yellow card, which would have seen him off and City down to 10? You know, caution for time wasting. I thought the referee was very good with the way he officiated the game as well. You know,
I
yellow
thought a
card.
couple of City players that I had it for time wasting.
Bernardo Silva should have had at least 2 yellows easily.
One
So,
other
like-
thing as well.
I didn't like our yellow for time wasting.
Going back to when the
Tommy
penalty
Akin
was
threw that in.
when the penalty was given and before the
Mhm.
kick was taken, how many City players did you count around the goalkeeper, around the referee? The referee
8.
disappeared in a golf blue shirt.
8 or 9, Stan. You know,
So a lack of consistency
several
there. What were the
times.
bookings then? Because of the
I
Wolves
think-
guy. Remember Wolves, the third guy? Oh, that was the third man who got to book him. He had a whole team around him.
I think it's ridiculous to
Turn
have
it all
that. It's ridiculous to have that ruling, but once you have a ruling like that, you boxed yourself in. You've painted yourself into a corner, and the FA are now, you know,
Well,
they're
that's the way it always
oblivious.
used to be. You used to only send 2 or 3 players over there. Now you have the whole fucking team over there.
Steven said, had Tomiyasu had more game time, he would have been sharper, and his football brain would have most likely have made the better choice. Jesus will be the same when he comes back.
And another thing I thought was weird in that first half is when Arteta basically took a timeout just in the middle of the fucking game. You see all the Arsenal players huddled up. What the hell was with that?
Well, Pep did the same
Pep did
thing
it. I
with
know,
his player.
yeah, you know what? You know what? Here, you listen to the commentary, and you know,
It looked like a water break.
Arteta did it first, talking. Pep does it. Look at this master of like football. He's telling Bernardo Silva, "Here, look at this and that and this," and I'm like, Have you seen Arteta during half times? The man is basically telling him everything he just told him in practice the whole week, and that's exactly what they're saying. So it's I understand why there's a difference because one's Pep and one's Arteta, but
Mhm.
they do the exact same things.
Yeah.
When it's Arteta, it's like, look at Arteta's antics on the sidelines. But when it's Pep, it's like,
He's a
oh,
master.
the Messiah has
mastermind.
risen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was funny because I mean Arteta had like 8 players around him, and Pep only had the 3.
3. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like, come
We're
on,
not,
man.
with
It's
the
not.
hand around the neck, of Bernardo, and Bernardo's like,
Yeah, the
Yeah,
arms
coach,
are
I
all
know.
over,
You
right?
told me that yesterday, and you told me that before the game, and you told me that when we walked onto the pitch. Thank you.
yeah. The Assemble was underwhelmed by Arsenal's team performance. I'm not sure if it's fatigue. See, you're going to get different, and I had a different take yesterday to what I have now. I feel like we played a really, really good game. We produced a lot of chances, again, a lot of clear-cut chances as well against a really, really good Man City team. We just didn't have the efficiency that Tony's been talking about for a few weeks. We haven't
I've
been
been
able
talking
to
about it all season, right?
a few weeks, yeah.
Cat keeps showing me her ass. What can I tell you?
You're supposed to sniff it, right? But yeah, I mean, I really feel like we played well,
And that's
and
the problem. I hate playing well once again
right.
and
So
losing to City because we've
is
We
done
this
played
this
well,
too many
but we never
times.
looked threatening, right?
put this one up against New Year's Day last year? Which was the better performance?
Last year.
That was
No.
much better than the one we did this weekend, for sure. For me,
Well, we
definitely.
had indiscipline in that
I mean,
game. We
we
lost
had
that
10
game.
men, didn't we?
We had
10 men.
indiscipline in this one that cost us.
In what way did we have indiscipline?
The 2 costly mistakes for goals.
But that's not indiscipline. That's just trying to force the game a little bit.
That's
in
just
my
being a bit
opinion.
shit.
Being a bit shit as well. I feel like I watched the All or Nothing back on that segment as well, and Gabriel got sent off against Jesus. Martinelli hits the upright. Granit Xhaka gives away a penalty, and we lose the game right at the death. I feel like we had the indiscipline was Gabriel getting sent off, and they were scuffing up the penalty spot.
We were that first 45 minutes. We didn't play that for 45 minutes this weekend. That
No,
first 45 minutes, Pep was pulling his hair out. This game was a little bit like that in a sense that they had more yellows and they had more fouls than they had in any game this season, I believe, because of the way we were playing. But that 45 minutes,
We looked
they had
threatening and
they had no
fast.
answer. They had no
Mhm.
answer for what we were doing. We definitely surprised them with the way that we played that match. This one, it was a little bit more controlled because we are better now, so it was a lot more controlled. But that one they were in shock
yeah,
when they saw that last New Year's. This one, I think, like I said, we are better, so we can control the game a lot, but get what we want out of it. And they might have thought they had chances, but they weren't that good in the first 45 minutes. Not anywhere close to where they want to be. So I kind
do
of feel like
we come away from this feeling a little bit like the Manchester United game where we had control of large parts of the game, but then we broke down in a couple of areas and got taken. You know what I mean?
I just don't think we're ever clinical enough, ever looked threatening enough. And my mistakes didn't help either.
Now,
I
the
don't think we
situation.
felt like we were like that United game. To me, I think we felt like we played well. I don't think we played well in against City this past on Wednesday. We didn't, right?
Yesterday.
We didn't feel like we could have easily scored. It felt like we should have been able to score 3 goals in that United match. Like, and this one, I don't feel like we felt like we could do that. We had opportunities, but I don't think we felt like, we played that well that we could probably have scored and kept up with them. as much as we did against United, in my
Okay.
eyes, anyways.
Interesting. All right. Erling Haaland.
Mm,
What?
mm.
Now we saw him up at close. Tony, do you think Haaland is a little bit too physical?
I mean,
That referees.
he's a big fucker. I mean, yeah, he gets away with a little bit too much. A lot of those big strikers in the past have. But to me, like on the where they call the penalty on Gabriel, they're both grabbing each other, and just because Gabriel gets to him at the
Yes.
end of it,
Yes.
I don't think that's a penalty.
I was incensed because it was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, and Haaland's the one that goes down, and they're going to give a penalty for that.
And Holland was the one that initiated the contact.
Well, that's why.
Exactly.
That's why if you're not going to call it on when Haaland makes the first grab, then you just have to let it play out, right? And they did let it play out
Let him get goal side of you.
because they both. I mean, the only reason why Gabriel's arm is in the position it was is because Haaland pulled him back. So when he's pulling him back, his arm's coming back like this. Next thing you know, he just runs through the arm and falls down. He didn't fall down because he got strong armed or anything like that. He just fell down because he was in the box, and now he was in the box, and you know he was gonna draw a foul that way. But like that call needed to be made outside the box before when they first started grabbing each other, because they got the last guy gets punished in that situation.
Yeah, I didn't like
we
that
were
call.
lucky then it was judged offside in that instance.
If we had 9 lives, right, we were using them quite rapidly in that game. That was one. Another one as well. It was Eddie Nketiah's booking. I thought he was going off.
Yep.
I really thought to myself, I was like, "Oh, you're joking, aren't you?" Because he went in very fierce with that one of his studs up, and to come away with just the yellow, I was like, "That's another life we've just used up."
We all you've been
Yeah.
sniffing that cat's ass a lot there to
You
get
know
your
what? They
lives.
were getting away with so much. I kind of felt like the inconsistency with the officiating is another thing, because I mean, not Partey, but Saka gets pushed by Ake, right, on that sideline there, and nothing was called at all. And you're like, what is that? Do you think he just flew forward in the air on that ball?
Yeah.
So I kind of felt like the officials being as bad as they were is the reason why you did. Some of the officiating was just not consistent.
We have Arsenal PTSD, so like Stan said, and Nketiah does that high challenge to the knee. I'm thinking Leicester a few years ago when he got sent off as well.
Did I just say, when you asked about Eddie and you saw about seeing Haaland close up, I think the main difference that stuck out to me was that Eddie Nketiah had three very good chances and couldn't tuck one of them away.
Yep.
Erling Haaland had one really good chance and got a goal out of it.
Exactly. Yep. That's the difference, Mahrez came off, Akanji came on. I thought at that point 1-1. It sort of my take was that Pep was settling for a 1-1 draw when Akanji comes on. Riyad Mahrez.
No, and that's where you were wrong, because as soon as you move Bernardo Silva into midfield, you're basically on the attack. So to think that was wrong, because
I guess
think about it. They basically handcuffed Bernardo Silva for Saka, and because we couldn't take advantage of it, they're like, well, we're playing with house money now, because guess what? We've been handcuffing Bernardo Silva back there. Midfield, boom, boom. It was almost, like I said, it's almost like when we see Trossard come on the pitch. Everything just seems to open up.
Yep.
And exactly what happened. So,
at that point, pressure was cranked up and we conceded 2 goals. We did have the one chance. Ødegaard feeding Tomiyasu. Cross was just too far ahead of Nketiah at that point, just before the second goal would come in. Grealish grabbing a second goal. Gabriel,
you can't tell me that Jack Grealish, right? He buys those shorts one size too small on purpose. He knows what he's doing. My missus sees it as well. She likes it, by the way. But he knows what he's doing, man. He buys them shorts one size.
And those calves as well. You know what I mean?
Every time he kicks the ball, I keep expecting to see the back of his shorts rip and his arse fall out.
The Incredible Hulk Grealish, indeed.
That's why they put
Um,
those little nets inside of those shorts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
82 minutes, Haaland grabs his goal, I think we're all out at that point in time. We're tired. The substitutions have come too late. Arteta really should have done something sooner than that.
Can I
And
just say
look,
as well, at 1-1 and even at 2-1, I thought that we still had enough that perhaps we could scratch a draw because
at
of the,
2-1. Yeah.
yeah. At 1-1, I thought we could get a second goal. And then when they got the second goal, I thought, okay, we can still get another one. When they scored that third one,
It's over.
sucked all the life out of
Yeah.
it for me. I
Yeah.
was just so
I
glad
thought
it finished.
I thought Trossard had a decent shot for a penalty as well. Waved away. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree.
Boot on boot. But yeah, Pep came out with a plan B in the second half, which we don't have. That was the difference and will be a huge problem going forward.
That's why we've been found out in the last 4 games.
Pep knows the system. All he done was make sure Arsenal didn't do what they wanted. Remember, we had more possession of the ball. That's the thing we're gonna have to take away from
That's
this.
on Arteta. Teams have been doing that all the last month. Teams have been doing it the last month. He's had ample time to try to figure out an answer to it, and he hasn't yet, and that's
Did
disappointing.
you see the new bad record we broke yesterday, Ray?
What was that?
7 straight home losses to a team.
Yeah, I think it's 11 in total now.
And I think that's their first win on the road in I don't know how many tries this season.
No,
so-
they beat Chelsea on the road recently.
No, I mean in the last 6 or 7 away matches they hadn't won or something
yeah,
like
they
that.
beat Chelsea recently since the World Cup came back.
Oh,
I imagine that
They
every
did
manager,
lose to Tottenham. They lost to United as well.
I imagine that every manager probably has a dossier on their table that, and each page has another team in the league, and they have their notes of what you do when you play them. And I think that most of the managers now is that if you look at that book that they have, when you turn to the Arsenal page, it just says employ Bolton tactics. Play like Bolton. you'll get something out of it.
Burnley, Bolton, all of that stuff. We couldn't
Mhm.
live with their intensity and physicality. I felt kind of sick watching them celebrate in the tunnel. I think,
They're
Can we
so
take-
lucky to finish with 11 men.
yeah. Can we take solace in the fact that they are celebrating this win? No.
Well, we would have celebrated if we'd won,
Yeah.
wouldn't we?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's get into the man of the match, and then we'll talk about where we go from here and the weekend and all that stuff. So, Gary, who are your nominees for man of the match? You can't say Jack Grealish and his calves.
man of the match for this one. We're in part of. I
Damn,
say,
it-
you know what? Oh, yeah, no. Here we
You
go.
can't stand. You can't say
No,
that, Stan.
It's
there,
more Kel than Stan's got in years.
No, there's probably 3 players that stood out in this match. Saka, Saliba stood out, but I think for me, Jorginho actually did play well in this match, and he kept things moving. As you know, when I got to watch the match in full today, and outside of a couple opportunities where Partey would just spin away from the defense and push the ball up the pitch, he did that for a lot more times than not. But he had opportunities to do it and he didn't. But otherwise, I think he played really well. He did intercept some balls. Coming in that situation and be able to play like that, if we get that against anybody else, we'll be fine. So I think Jorginho did. I think for me, Saka was a little hesitant, and that's why it kind of took it away from him. He needed to punish Bernardo Silva. He didn't.
Yep.
Saliba, I think, did a good job. He didn't make any big mistakes. He was able to hold his own at one point against Haaland.
He's learning. He's learning these past 2 games.
Coming into this game, there was all that talk about Saliba and getting beat in the air against Tony, and I don't think we heard any of that. in this match, right? So he
Oh.
they all get honorable mentions, Saka and Saliba, but I'm going to go with Jorginho. I think we needed him to come out and have a performance, and he did. And we had opportunities to score, and we didn't. So that's on us.
Yeah.
That's on those players that didn't take their chances, and or didn't create those opportunities.
All right, Jorginho for Gary. Stan?
I think I'd probably go with Jorginho as well, because I had an opportunity to look at him in an Arsenal shirt, right? And as Gary said, he didn't stand out as a weak replacement for Thomas Partey. But the only thing that I noticed, which was different, is that when Jorginho makes a pass, the ball travels slower. There's not fizz on it than when Partey does it. The ball gets to the destination. He doesn't turn the ball over, but it slows the play down a little bit because you're waiting for the ball to come to you. And that's the only thing that I noticed. And it's only been a couple of games, but I would go with Jorginho. Not a bad effort, and for the little that we paid for him,
Yeah, no, exactly. Istanbul said it's not a good sign when Arsenal start breaking the wrong records again. Arsenal need to snap out of this phase when they're in.
What's the
get the ring
record?
quickly.
What was the bad record that we did?
The City one.
7 straight losses away.
Yeah.
They won.
Look,
They won
we're
7
eating
straight
at the
ones.
top. We're feasting at the top of the table, and we're asking things of Saka. We're asking Saka to carry the front line because Eddie didn't do it, and Martinelli didn't do it, and haven't been doing it. We're relying a lot on Saka. I was thinking about this today as well. We're overachieving on the back of our best young players, and our expectations are being raised by Saka, Martinelli, Erdegaard. And is it unfair?
Nope,
Maybe it's unfair.
it's not unfair. I
They're
think they
we are
want that.
raising our expectations based on these players, based on Saka.
How's it going?
Tony can't
Sounds
give
like,
us
sounds like the matron is in.
I
Matron's
know.
stand up.
the nurse Cratchit. Nurse Cratchit.
Yeah, I don't think he's fortunate enough to have like a Barbara Windsor style carry on matron sort
Or
of skirt nurse.
Rest
Ooh,
in peace.
saucy.
Rest in peace, Raquel Welch. Who we lost.
Oh
recently.
man,
So,
yes.
rest in peace. Saliba did play well. Saliba played outstanding, as did Jorginho. But think about it. We almost achieved top four on the back of Emile Smith-Rowe and Saka last season. Here we are trying to sustain a title push and asking Saka to play a lot as well.
Hang on.
Remember, we didn't
Smith-
achieve top 4. I think because our senior players weren't able to show up.
Yep.
And so that's why when we might expect a lot out of Saka, but
It's
what?
like
He's been good for it so far.
he's
okay with the challenge.
Do you know when you get your tin of biscuits, your tin of cookies at Christmas?
Yeah.
Everyone wants to eat the good stuff, right?
Yeah.
So Saka's the good stuff. Emile
Yeah.
Smith-Rowe's the good stuff. Martinelli's the good stuff. But then you're left with the plain biscuits, the plain cookies that stays there.
The problem with it
the
is
end of
that
January,
you can't just keep
and you
feasting on them.
You take the first layer off because he was eating all the good stuff, all the
That's what
chocolate.
I'm saying. You can't do that.
You're not allowed to take off the top layer until all those cookies are gone. You know the rules.
My dad was like that as well.
There ain't nothing left but them digestive ones that all gather up in the top of your gums.
Yeah,
they're just showing a replay here, and there's that one play where Saka gets the ball, and instead of just taking it with his right foot, he tries to put it on his left, and the opportunity's lost. And you're like, if he just takes this, Saka.
Saka as well. First half.
Saka in that first half. He gets the ball. If he just takes a shot with his right, if he misses, so be it. But that was the only opportunity he had to take the shot.
I watched that over and over, and I feel like Erdegaard might have played the ball a little bit fast for him.
No, he had a control. He just needed to take the shot.
Yes.
He controlled it because he put it onto his left foot, and that was when the opportunity dies.
I agree. Jorginho did all right, but they got through our midfield on several occasions way too easily.
Who's your
This is the best team one of the best teams in the world.
I know, but we're allowed to talk about it, right?
No, I know, but it wasn't like they were threatening us consistently over and over and over again. They were going to get through at some point.
This
me.
was on a Champions League night. This was the game to watch. Think about that. On the Champions League stage,
Yeah.
this was the game to watch. Tony keeps going in and out. I'm glad. Actually, I think he said, "Here's your nominee, Jorginho." Good Jorginho. I'm glad Jorginho showed up. He had a shot that seemed a pass that Eddie didn't read. Same with Xhaka. He was slow on the ball. Maybe we were a little bit slow, Gary, because of Jorginho and Granit Xhaka. Sponge bath.
Definitely would do with Xhaka for sure. I didn't really. I get the passes from Jorginho were a little slow, but on the build up, but not like in the final third. I don't remember him.
Mm.
He's not really in the final third in most of those
Yeah.
situations.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no. Sacked Xhaka did really. We needed, I don't know if we needed better from him, but I would have rather him just be definitive in his movement. I mean, because the one where you just take the damn shot. You've taken shots like that before.
Take the shot.
Or make the pass.
Here we
You
go.
can't
James Bond.
hesitate, man.
Bond,
think-
take the shot.
Do you not
Does
think
anyone-
it's curious? Oh, do you not think it's curious that in the last couple of games, I've noticed that Xhaka's been hooked, hasn't he, for teabag? So
Mhm.
I always thought that Xhaka was going to be a mainstay under Arteta. Do you
see,
think that? Do you think
our-
that position is where he sees teabag playing eventually, or another player coming into that role, into that position?
I think Arteta sees the deficiencies in players' games, but he doesn't react quickly enough. So Granit Xhaka comes off with 10 minutes left rather
Yep.
than 25. You
Yeah.
know,
He doesn't get, and he doesn't give the subs an opportunity
Martinelli.
to make it. Like how our players don't need to just come in to get a sweat. They actually need to come in to make a difference, right?
Mhm. Yeah, we're going to need that more and more
Right,
now.
and like 15 minutes for Trossard, not enough. 7 minutes for Fabio, nah. Come on, what is the point of that? They're not
Not a
going to make
lot.
a difference at
Not
that
good
point.
enough. Yep, exactly.
You're wasting
Uh,
it.
And I stopped taking notes after that Haaland goal. Like I metaphorically left the stadium. I was one of those who walked out with 10 minutes to go. And Bernardo Silva is the real teabag. That's what BX Gunner said. Does anyone know why White wasn't playing? Rotation, I think, assembled. Rotation. One thing we did was send Zinni forward and drop Xhaka back to help Jorginho. That just scares the crap out of me having Xhaka back there. Yeah. Trossard is our best left 8. Now we just need to put him there. Okay, Tony, who gets the man of the match? Is it Jorginho?
I wasn't good with Saka and Odegaard watching it, but listening to you guys, we'll go with Jorginho.
Okay. All right. So, any other final points on? One thing I will say with this game is you don't have to beat one of the best teams in the league in order to win the league. You play Man City twice.
We need to beat Man City because we couldn't beat Everton or Brentford. That's why we need to beat City, because we couldn't beat the teams we're supposed to beat. If you can't beat the teams you're supposed to beat, then you got to beat the teams that are right there with you.
Off our cushion,
right?
So
Leicester, that's why that's the difference.
The year Leicester beat, the year Leicester won the league, we beat them twice.
Yeah,
you know.
But did they lose to Everton and Brentford back to back?
No. True. But having said that, notwithstanding, right? We did put a lot of W's on the board early part of the season, okay? And we have this sticky patch, LDL, right at the end here. And is this just our sticky patch? As other teams have had sticky patches, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we're sitting. The reason why we're sitting with 51 points like City is because City. I mean, somebody looked at the stats and they're like, City's playing exactly where they were in the last.
You guys chat about this. I'll be right.
Yeah, in the last season, they're not doing. They are on par with what they did last season. That's to tell you how. That's how good we are playing, right? They're not. People think they've been playing bad, but they're probably on par to what they've on par with what they've done last season. So they're not doing better or worse. We're just playing really good football. So the fact that we're 51 with them is a good thing. This
They don't,
these are these this is the big test though. This is the
they
big
don't feel
test.
the
What
same, though,
happened?
do they? City. There's something about them that doesn't feel the same. Maybe statistically, the points and what have you reflect that there's no drop off, but they do seem a little bit different this season than they were previously. But you're right. We're playing very well at the moment. But it's really important to see how we bounce back now after these losses. If we go into this next game and it's another loss, I will be concerned. I want to see it business back to back. Business is back as usual.
Yeah.
This losing trend has to stop now. Otherwise, we're going to blow the title. Because I still believe that there's an opportunity for us. It's not over yet.
And this team needs to learn how to be able to play under that pressure. And I thought I thought to some degree they did last season when they had the similar pressure to finish higher up the table, right? So
Yeah.
this is no different. You're in a little bit of a slump. You need to stop that at some point, no matter what, right? I mean, and that's pretty much what City did. They came out, they knew they needed to do whatever to get a win, and they did. Arsenal, when is Arsenal whenever you go, you know what? We did everything we could. We scraped, we grabbed, we did everything to try to get the 3 points in this match. Like this is under pressure as well. We needed to do that. We need to do that against City. We're gonna against Villa, no matter what. If it's 1-0, I don't care. But they need to scratch and crawl
Yeah.
and get those 3
Yeah.
points. And
We
then we can build on it. You can't keep building on, well,
While you was
we've
away there, Ray, I was just saying that I believe that there were more points in this season to play for yet. But there's a lot of people out there that don't feel that way. So if you'll indulge me, gentlemen, just for a few moments, I'd like to share some of these thoughts with you, some choice ones that I've picked out, if I may, for us to maybe mull over, so we can just gauge what other people who support Arsenal around the world are thinking. So I'll go straight in with this one. I won't say any names. Name a more overhyped shit play than Odegaard, and name a fan base that doesn't understand football more than Arsenal fans. So there's one take there. Here's another one here. Arteta to blame, replaces Ben White, who has been good all season, for someone who's cost us 2 goals, continues to play Martinelli, who is shite. Hashtag Arteta out. Here's another one. This one starts with a lot of hashtags, right, before he gets into the meat of it, right? He goes into all caps as well. He starts out with hashtag Arteta out, hashtag Edu out, hashtag Nketiah out, a hat trick there of outs. And then he comes in full caps, goes, starting Tommy was a criminal decision. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Get the fraud out. And in case we forgot about the hashtags at the beginning, he ends again with hashtag Arteta out. How'd you get back from letting Grealish and Anthony scoring versus you in the same season? Hashtag Arteta out. Sack him. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Exclamation marks have been like working, like carrying a lot of shit over the last 24
it
hours.
emphasizes their point.
Why is, but this one wants Eddie to know, right? Why is at Eddie Nketiah 9? So he really wanted Eddie to see this one. Still starting! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Hashtag Arteta out, hashtag Edu out, hashtag fraud Edu, hashtag Arteta the fraud, hashtag Edu out again. He does that twice. He obviously fucking hates Edu. Hashtag Cronky out. Last one. OMFFGGG. Work that out. Oh my fucking God. This manager is inept, man. His subs are absolutely horrendous, for fuck's sake. Fuck off. Hashtag Arteta out.
Yeah.
And now I just don't feel that way. I just don't feel that it's that we're at a stage where it's that drastic.
Yeah, I'm going to show you something very soon that might be an eye opener for you. Okay, and I thought you might have been going this way, but BX said we've claimed some big scalps this year. We've improved greatly. Let's get through a few comments and then we'll get into that. We've been proven. It's been proven that Xhaka shouldn't be in the vicinity of our defense, so we decide to have him do that against City. Yeah, we've said that, Gary. The further away from goal Granit Xhaka can be, the better it is for the team. You're always in it until you're not. BX Gunner, we are still in this thing. You know what I mean? Ashley Young is 37-year-old right back. I don't care who, but we need to target him on Saturday. And we'll
You know
talk
what?
about
Villa
Villa. Yeah,
is okay. Once again, this
go ahead.
is Villa. Where is Villa? Where is Villa in the
11th.
table?
I know that
We
because I
we
did
sh-
the
no matter what,
sheet.
the only answer we need to have is if they decide to play us in some kind of defensive positioning,
Yeah.
right? Really, that's the only thing we need to be. Otherwise, they can't keep up with us. And and this is that confidence that Arteta needs to have with his players coming into the match. There's only one team better than us. Only one team, right? And we've beaten the teams below us. All of them
Mhm.
we've beat, right?
Mhm.
I don't think we've beaten most of them because some of them we haven't only played them once. Well, no, we've beaten all of them, right?
We have to play. We have to play.
We've beaten every team below us, right?
Yeah, yeah, we had
Every
to.
team below us we've beaten.
Southampton, we haven't, but
No, but we haven't lost to Southampton,
correct.
right? It was a draw. That was a draw,
Draw.
right?
Yeah.
So we haven't. We've beaten every team below us. So Villa is on that list.
Well, we
They're
haven't
below.
beaten Everton this season, but we'll get them. We'll get them
Yeah.
soon.
Oh, no, you're right. We did lose to Everton.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Don't worry.
But we have chances to redeem ourselves there. But no, Villa
Newcastle.
if we don't score 3 goals against Villa, I'm going to
Yeah,
be upset. If we win 2-0, 2-1, I'm going to be upset because we need to get back our form. For me,
comprehensive. We need a comprehensive win up
yeah,
there. We need a steely, determined win akin to what City did to us. One win in the last five games in all comps is not good. If we don't win against Villa, have to start fearing the worst. We could easily slip to third or lower. If we don't win at Villa, we're not gonna. We've no chance to win this league. We are just challenging them for second place. It's the internet and social media that's brought out all the experts. Let's show you now this banner here. Listen, we all think it's doom and gloom. We all think the City have just come with this relentless charge against us, and now they're ahead of us. They're ahead of us on goal difference, but they have not. Here's what has been happening post World Cup. Okay, post World Cup, Arsenal's record: win, draw, win, loss, draw, and the latest loss against City. That is 8 games. We've got 14 points from those 8 games. City have got 19 points from their 9 games. We have a game in hand. If we win that game in hand, we've just given up 2 points since the World Cup to City. Now, that game in hand, let's say it's Aston Villa. Okay. We go and win at Aston Villa. Then we'll get 17 points from 9 games. City have got 19 points from 9 games. Let's not forget they lost to United. They lost to that team, Tottenham, as well. There's going to be swings and roundabouts, and they've won against Villa, and they've beaten us. They could be on a charge. They could be on that thing that everyone's talking about right now, Stan. They could put 10 wins together. They may not, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I also look when I look at that second D for me, it's difficult for us when we've got the PGMOL taking points away from us as well.
Yes.
Because if we do
Yes.
finish this season with a couple of points in it, I'm not sure. You'll see a mushroom cloud over Vancouver. Just look in this direction out of your windows. You'll see the mushroom
Like that
cloud
meme, that GIF, right? Yeah.
because it's kind of tucked away in the back of my mind that this looks like it's going to be a close sprint to the finish line, and it may only be a couple of points in it. And I will feel so aggrieved if that, because of what happened at Brentford. But we can't do nothing about it. It's like we have to. You look at that, right? WWD, WWL, and then we have to accept that last L. Sorry, that next D. We have to accept it, even though it's not a fair one. Do you know what I mean? And I think, how much did that affect the guys? How much did that affect the young team? Losing out in that manner and the aftermath, from that, and then having to take that into a game against City. It's not really the best preparation
Yeah.
to have.
Yeah, I mean, we get those extra 2 points against Brentford. We're sitting on 16 points after 8 games. We've dropped 8 points. City have dropped 8 points as well, in their 9 games. They've got 19 points from a possible 27. They lost to United in controversial circumstances. They'll probably point to that offside goal from Bruno Fernandes. If it goes wrong against them, that will be huge if it goes wrong. If we win this and they lose it by 2 points, they'll look back at that Old Trafford, that goal at Old Trafford.
I was
The
just
phantom
thinking.
Yeah, but
offside.
theirs wasn't taken away from them, and then or wasn't taken away from them. And then like, oh, oops, we made a mistake.
I do have a
It's a little
sneaky feeling
different.
though
It's a little
that
different.
They'll still be
if
aggrieved, right?
if we
No, but
finish
think
in
about it.
Uh, Go ahead, Gary. Finish it.
No, I was just gonna say like the Southampton game was one we could have won, right?
Yeah.
The Everton game we should have won. Brentford game we should have won. Those are 3 games similar to that to that to that
City
team
City are
losing
going to
in
say
City.
they should have beaten United at Old Trafford. When they lost that game in the last 10 minutes. When looking to be in control. Stan.
I was just thinking though, right? Maybe we're overreacting because maybe in 4 years from now, after this investigation has finished and the dust has settled, we
When
might
we
and we
come
finish in
second.
second. We might get this. We might get a trophy in 4 years for this year. Who knows? It's
That
possible,
is
right?
like that is like VAR. You score a goal and you don't know whether to celebrate or not, because VAR is going to check the validity of your goal. You know what I mean? But this is what's happened since the World Cup's finished. We had that 5 point lead um, at the middle of November going into the World Cup. We had a 5 point lead over City, and they've drawn level. But really, if we win this game in hand, we're sitting on 17 points, just 2 less than they've accrued since the World Cup. So it might seem doom and gloom, Gary, but we're right there, and we need to sort of galvanize ourselves again and go again.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I believe our game in hand is Everton. So if we really want to be true to form, then the
Mhm.
Everton match that we play
At home,
midweek on the what is that? The
1st of
25th.
March.
The 25th. It says here.
Okay, I got
Oh,
it.
sorry,
1st of March.
sorry. I'm looking at the wrong line. You're right. All right. The 1st of
All
March.
memorized.
So yeah, good job
All up
there.
here.
Yeah, no. So, but for me, I don't want to. We're not looking forward more than one game, right? So the next one, our biggest game is the next one, right?
Yep. But
So the
if
next one is Villa. We need to win that one, just like we've needed to win the last 22 matches.
22.
So
Yeah, we got 16 games left. City have got 15. So that extra game in hand now. Listen, Brentford, we want to be in a position where we're not looking back at that Brentford game. You know what I
yeah,
mean? There's going to be points in the
yeah.
season.
Arteta said he's doing that, right? So he has to find 2 points somewhere else.
Hmm.
So that's
Okay.
just going to be wins where that's going to be wins where we should have got a draw, basically.
Okay. So what we've been trying to do since the World Cup has been keep Eddie Nketiah keep ourselves in a situation where we're playing Eddie Nketiah and it's not damaging us too much, you know. So Saturday is very important. Uh, let's have a quick word about the Europa League. Was anyone keeping up on the scores today? Man United 2, Barcelona. I'll give you the Vidi printer scores, Stan. RB Salzburg 1, Roma 0. Barcelona 2, Man United 2. Ajax 1, Union Berlin 0. Shakhtar Donetsk without Mudryk 2, Rennes 1. Sevilla 3, PSV 0. Those were our opponents in our group stage. Sporting 1, Midtjylland 1, Juventus 1, Nantes 1, and Leverkusen 2, Monaco 3 in the first leg.
Yeah, interesting.
But yeah, we can sit back because we did top our group and we don't have to worry about this this group. We're going to wait and see who comes out of this. If we don't beat Villa, we won't finish ahead of United. United are right there and playing well. I don't feel United are in the title race.
Yeah.
Do you, Gary?
Well,
5 points back.
We just said 5 points. We were just 5 points. City was just 5 points ahead of us. So if it's they do have the same, and they have the same number of games as City now. I mean, I think they are as well. And the only team that could have made a difference was us, and we didn't do that because we didn't win our matches. So we've kind of kind of like pulled them back in, or they pulled us in, however you want to look at it. So they're there as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe City's overcome more than 5 points. Nothing to say that United can't do that either. I mean, Rashford has been on a tear lately, right? He's been scoring all the time. So if we had somebody who could score half as good as that, where would we be, right? If we, right? He scored what, 14 in a row? He scored in 14 matches in a row, something like that. If Nketiah has 7 or 8 goals at this point with the games that he's played, yeah.
Alonso, no link.
I think the only way United are in this title race is if we let them.
Yeah. So we've given them we've creaked the door. We left the door open a little bit. All right, and the only way we can shut it is to keep winning. Right. So that's where Villa starts. You don't win against Villa, the door opens up a little bit more. So just have to win the next one. That's all. And I think Arteta, I believe, has shown that he has a plan no matter who's playing. It's just execution at this point. So I mean, just execution.
All right, Alonso, I'm dropping you the link right now. Okay, let's preview Arsenal Villa. Stan, we talked about it a little bit. We need to win this game. Tony's back.
Yeah, I mean, as well, it's not one of those situations where even though we're facing a former manager, it's not like 3/4 of the squad are still his players. It's been it's been a lot of house cleaning. I think there's only a couple of players that are in the team from Emery's time, and that's Granit Xhaka and Tierney. I'm not sure if there's anybody else. So it's not like it's one of those situations. It's a fresh team. But Emery is a good tactician as well. I'm happy that he's at Villa. I want to see him succeed at Villa as well, but not this weekend. Do you know what I mean?
This weekend, notwithstanding.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Good point.
Tony, a couple of former Arsenal players at Villa now that you love.
That I love.
You love 2 of them.
Who do I love?
Emi Martinez.
Oh.
I don't love him. You and Gary do.
Callum Chambers.
I do love him.
All right. He was against City last Sunday. I wonder if he'll line out against us.
Won't surprise me.
Listen, I think Aston Villa are not that good. Okay. Did you say they were a form team a couple of weeks ago?
They were.
They were. Okay. They beat Leicester. They beat Southampton. They beat Leeds. They drew the Wolves, but they've lost to Leicester and they've lost to City now. I think we should go to Aston Villa and go there and win comprehensively. Will we do it? It's going to be probably a little bit nerve-wracking to begin with. If many Arsenal fans,
we're going to beat anybody comprehensively right now.
Yeah, many Arsenal fans have privately given up on the league. Do you think there's a lot out there that have given up on it, Tony? Or
yeah, I think a lot of fans are. They shouldn't. We still got the game in hand. But if you look at what we've done in January, starting off this month, not looking good. Arteta's one away from what works. See that Trossard works. Seeing that Martinelli and Eddie's not working. One of them needs to come out. And kind of like Stan said, go with a right
Alonso.
left back, right back. But for me, he'd be better suited if he either does a back three and keeps it that way instead of all this hybrid shit. I mean, that's basically what he plays with because he's got his fullbacks going forward almost all the time.
Tony, what kind of changes do you want? Let's ask everyone. We'll start with Tony. What changes do you want for the Villa game?
Trossard.
What do you say?
Trossard. Anyone else? Would you pick the same team but just Trossard instead of Martinelli?
I still want to see. It doesn't matter really if it's Trossard or Zinchenko in that bench. Zaka needs benched. He's not looking in form. But I think those are really the two you can look at. You can look at Martinelli and Eddie and Zaka and give them a rest.
Do you think Ben White comes back in?
I would.
Yeah. Okay. Alonso, what do you want to see? What change do you want to see against Villa?
I do not want Arsenal to go back to back three. Anyway. I guess yeah.
Tony went dark.
Anyway, so I wouldn't mind, like Tony said, I wouldn't mind seeing Zinchenko in the midfield. I think Xhaka needs a break. I think that, whenever Tierney needs to play, I guess. So this is a perfect game to incorporate Zinchenko in the midfield. I think Jorginho played very well against Man City. It's unfortunate that Tamayasu got that mistake. It couldn't happen to a better player. With that said, it's just a tough break, in my opinion. I think Ben White is still a good player. I think he needs to be playing. But yeah, I think Tamayasu kind of blew it there. I'm just curious to know if the new center back ought to play.
Kivior.
Yeah, QBR. I think, I hope that, Arteta just make this down, because, those mistakes were kind of, the second goal was his fault, and I think he needs a break, in my opinion. And I think, the new kid needs to play.
We got punished at the highest level against City, I believe. Villa are definitely many levels below City, and we need to go there and show we're the better team from the start. For me, Ben White comes back in. Possibly, I'd like to see Kieran Tierney. Zinchenko might need to take a break. Jorginho continues. Partey may still be injured. Granit Xhaka just about keeps his position, and Trossard comes in for me. I'm going to persevere with Eddie and Kedia, but it wouldn't be. I would, if this doesn't work, Eddie's got to score, Gary. Eddie's got to score on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's always the next game. It's always the next game. Let's see how he does this one. At some point, you just have to just make the change. When the players when the player needs it. Because can he play like that the rest of it until Jesus comes back? I don't think so. He's going to wear out. So I kind of feel like this is go back to the same thing we've been saying all along. We need to be able to rotate our players. So Trossard needs to come in for sure. Tierney needs to come in for sure. I think he needs some playing.
Now Ben White,
if you're gonna go out your way and bring Divior into the squad, he needs to play. If he's not going to play in this match, when is he going to play? He needs to get some playing time, or else you just wasted a player's time with you. I mean, I think his season was over, right? But still, why bringing him in if you're not going to play? You might as well put him on loan if you're not going to utilize him. So he broke all those records. Why don't we get to see if they can help us out? So he at the least he needs to come off the bench. You know what I mean? So that's another thing we probably could do as well. Bring some of these players off the bench, and I think Reece Nelson is healthy. So Reece Nelson and Trossard up top. Maybe that's the way to
Wow.
go. Or right, Reece
Wholesale
Nelson.
changes.
We need to rotate our players. We
We
need to
need
be
to
able to do
win.
that.
But Ray,
We need to-
I think with Gary's idea, I think most of these people are capable of making a difference, making things happen. And Reece Nelson has had plenty of chances to show off what he could do. Before he got hurt, he was on his way, I think, to being a good enough player to stick around. So it's either now or never with him. So I kind of agree with Gary.
Okay.
I mean, because as soon as Emil Smith-Rowe comes in, he needs to be part of a rotation.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we've suffered with Jesus, Emil Smith-Rowe being injured, Reece Nelson being injured. We've suffered with forward players. Yeah, we need to get Emil Smith-Rowe in and Jesus back. How long is Partey out? We probably won't make this game at the weekend, but I'd expect him to see him line out against Leicester City in about 9 or 10 days from now.
Jesus, you think?
No, Partey.
Oh, Partey.
Yeah. I'd like to see Jesus early March.
It's interesting that Jesus, not Jesus, but Partey, it seemed was injured weeks ago, all right, and played against Everton and did not look so good, right? And now like.
Do you remember?
Take
Do
the
you
hint.
remember when he put the afterburners on against Man United in that left back position and got the ball? I feel like that's maybe when he overextended himself there.
It says lower back injury on the injury report.
Yeah, it's a muscular injury.
So,
Didn't Mr. Ozil used to suffer from a lot of these back?
Wow, this is Thomas Partey. Shame on you, Stan.
We don't know what's going on.
comparing-
We don't know what's going on with Thomas Partey. I'm not without going too deep into stuff and that. It might be other things that are happening in his life that could be playing on his mind. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the thing we suffered with Partey. We were worried about Partey. 24 league games of each of the last 2 seasons. He missed 14 in the league, so he's been pretty durable till now.
I don't think he missed hardly any games when he was in Spain.
Yeah. What changes are you making, Stan, for Saturday at 4:30 in the morning for you?
I'd like to see Carantini back into the side.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see. I think Trossard has earned a start, and there's a couple of positions he could play. Maybe by playing Trossard in Eddie's place, it would help bring Martinelli back to life, because I don't think that Trossard is a player that's going to be wedded to the penalty box. He may give a little bit more movement, which may help to unlock Martinelli in some way.
Yep. Listen, if Trossard is going to be a false 9, I wouldn't be against seeing him in that position. I think false 9, you have to have a good player in that position that understands the position. BX, I heard 2 more weeks, but who knows? It could be months. Yeah. I think definitely early. If he doesn't make the Leicester game, he'll definitely make the Everton game on March 1st. I think he'll be definitely back for the home game.
We can't expect him to come straight into the lineup. Maybe he has to come off the bench, to ease him back in. We don't want him breaking down immediately like we did with Thomas Partey that time last season when he was out injured. We brought him back and he couldn't even finish the next game.
Yeah. We have winnable games, Gary. We have winnable games coming up. We need to start getting.
We need to
back.
We really need to win the next 7 because they're all winnable games that we can.
Let's call them out. Aston Villa at home on Saturday. We go to Leicester City.
Mm-hmm.
They've been playing well, but we need to really take care of business at Leicester.
Yep.
Everton comes back to the Emirates. That's revenge. Bournemouth, Fulham, and Crystal Palace. Leeds. Sorry, Mr. Tom.
There's 7 games that we should be able to win. right?
Yep.
And doesn't matter home or away for any of them. I know Leicester City's been playing pretty good lately, but that's one out of the 6 that we might have an issue with. But the other matches we need to be able to win those. And Everton, we're going to need to respond.
Yeah.
When we play them, we're playing them at home. So
They got up against us, and that's 2 losses now at Old Trafford and Everton again this season that we haven't been able to turn over. Okay, so Party only played 70 minutes a game in Spain, not the full 90 he's playing now. We need to bring Jorginho in now and sort of mix up games. We're going to go quick now. We'll finish up in about 20 minutes if everyone's good for that. Dan, the next game up is Brentford at home to Crystal Palace. I'm assuming we're all thinking we're going to beat Aston Villa, right?
Well,
Does
it's-
anyone think
Maybe.
we won't?
I don't know whether we will, but we have to. That's what I'm saying. Whether we will or
Yeah.
not remains to be seen.
Okay.
You see my 2 preliminary picks, Ray?
No, I haven't yet.
What are you doing now? You're talking about the other fixtures and that.
Yes.
I'm gonna leave the chat. Then.
Have you got any other comments about the game about yesterday? Then before you leave us.
No, I would just like to finish on that. For me personally, I don't think that we're in a situation where I think that everything is all doom and gloom. Obviously, I'm disappointed that we weren't able to secure 3 points against Man City. But as I mentioned, there are still more points to play for. But I will be alarmed if we go into this next game and we don't come out with any points. I will be very alarmed because we need to get back into winning ways and get the W's back on the board as we have most of this season. And I do think that looking at what Mikel Arteta is as our manager compared to the last few seasons, I see improvement. I do. I see improvement. Maybe it's not as quick as some people would like, and it seems that our owners are going to continue to back us in the market in the summer as well to help us continue to improve and not just tread water. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah. Thanks, Dan.
You're welcome. And remember, guys.
Where can we find those at, Stan?
Oh,
Trust the process.
that's a good question, Tony. What did you ask me there? Where could you find a mug such as this? Well, a mug such as this can be found on Etsy at the Gooner Shack. Go take a look. See. Good night, everyone. Great to talk
All
to
right,
you
Dan.
all,
Cheers,
and I
Dan.
look forward to talking to you all
I
on
have an
Sunday.
idea for you.
Are you pulling an all-nighter, Stan, for before the game at 4:30?
No, no,
Okay.
it
I have
ruins
an
my
idea
it
for
ruins
you,
my
Stan.
whole day because I can't go back to bed.
Hmm.
And catch up with my sleep. And then by the time it's mid-afternoon, I'm groggy. The missus is busting my balls because I'm like a vegetable on the sofa. So I'll get up and I'll watch a replay if it's available on any of the streaming platforms that I have. So
Okay. Cool.
good night,
All right.
everyone, and enjoy the rest
Cheers.
of your week.
You didn't
Will
take my
do.
idea,
Yeah.
Stan.
What was that?
As I say, you have trust for process. You should have some don't trust for process.
No,
Feed off
No.
negative energy.
no. I want my shop to be a success, Tony. And before I go, you should be able to catch me again on Saturday with this man down here and this man kind of here
There.
and Mr. Tom, because I believe we're going to be doing a watch along of this WWE's pay-per-view, the Elimination Chamber. And as I understand it, there may be 1 or 2 surprises popping in to call a match or 2. Who knows? It could be worth tuning in. So thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I look forward to speaking
right.
to you all again soon.
Bye,
Cheers,
Stan.
Dan. All right. So you roped Stan in, Tony, did you? To the Fool's Nelson. The Fool Nelson?
Full Nelson Podcast. Hosted by Tony and Tom, with guest appearances by the greatest commentator podcast history, Gary, aka DDWTTDF.
All right.
Gary's invited tomorrow, but he has to hit pause for 5 seconds.
When is that?
fun.
Saturday? When is that, Tony? Saturday?
7?
Saturday,
Saturday.
It's 7, right?
7 Eastern.
7 Eastern.
7
All right.
Eastern. Okay. All right.
Or wait, it's 8 Eastern.
You better get out of the hospital for that, Tony. Okay.
Please.
I thought I would be. I thought I was able to get out yesterday.
Starting to like your surroundings.
I like some of my surroundings.
Huh?
I said I like some of my surroundings.
You're not talking about us, right? Gary. Gary, Brentford at home to Crystal Palace. 8th place versus 12th.
I expect Brentford's home, right?
Yes.
I expect them to win. So they've been pretty good this season. So
They have been good this season. I'm going to go for a draw, 1-1. Tony, draw. Alonso,
I'm going with Gary here. I'm going for Brentford.
Brentford. Okay. Yeah, Ivan Toney has been really, really good this season. Okay. Wolverhampton Wanderers. Alonso, Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Bournemouth.
Well, this is my first I Catch Sleepy match of the week. Brought to you by Tony's Hospital. I'm going
Tony's
for
wig.
I think
to be nice one, right?
I
Tony's
think
wig.
Wolves has come back pretty strong ever
Tony's
since.
wing.
Oh, I thought you said wake.
Wing. Not wake. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I was like,
Alonso,
damn,
go
really
ahead.
dark.
Right. So,
Wolves.
I'm very impressed about how Wolves have come back from the depths of the lower division.
Yeah.
So, I've always liked Wolves. I've always liked the stadium, I guess. I've always had a soft spot for Wolves. So them being relegated is kind of weird after all the stuff they did to fight back to get into the league. So I'm going for Wolves. I think they could hopefully warn off any regulation zone stuff, and Wolves.
Wolverhampton Wanderers for you. Yeah, I think they can continue their winning ways. Wolves at home to Bournemouth, Gary.
yeah, my first thought was Wolves would win this one. I mean, they've been playing pretty well late, right? Yeah, they've won 3 out of the last 4. So I'm gonna go. You said Wolves. What week is this? Let me
Wolves
just
are
see.
I thought Ray
15.
said we were to go through this quickly.
Wow, that's okay. Easily.
Yeah, no, I think Wolves will win this one.
You don't have to go through it quickly because there's always talking points around the league as well. It doesn't always have to be about Arsenal and City. Tony. Tony, Wolves, Bournemouth. Quickly, Tony.
Wolves.
All right. Tony, Brighton at home to
And
Fulham.
This is kind of like our triple header, isn't it? Why didn't you put this one down, right?
It's 6 versus 7. They're two big.
No,
two
I'm
better
saying the
teams.
Wolves one. You didn't have it
I
down
missed
as-
that one. I missed it.
We got a triple feature of who gives the fuck games of the week. Ray missed it.
I missed it. You can only have 2. I picked the 2. Okay.
I'm doing a triple feature.
Triple matinee. Okay. Tony, Brighton at home to Fulham. 6 versus 7.
Draw.
Yeah, I think Brighton have been slowing down a little bit. I'll go with a draw. 1-1. Alonso?
This is Fulham, right? Fulham and Brighton, right?
Yep, Brighton, Fulham.
I think Brighton have enough going forward to get the win. I'm going for 2-1 victory for Brighton.
Okay, Gary, Brighton at home to Fulham. It's a difficult place for Fulham to go to.
Yeah, Brighton.
Brighton. Okay. Gary, Everton 18 versus Leeds. I'm going to call it the who gives a fuck game of the week. Number 1.
Yeah,
Deuce.
I would say Leeds needs to win this, but as you say, it's in Everton, so that's going to be a bit tough. So I'm going to go draw.
Okay, let's hope Mr. Tom gets some joy this weekend, just like we want some joy. Tony.
I'm staying, but it's still the second of a triple feature here.
You're going
I
to
want to make
abstain.
my
What is
co-host
that?
mad.
What? Oh,
What
so
does that mean?
you don't want to make him mad, and you already did because you just told us what you were gonna say.
Let's go, Tony.
Maybe he's got some drugs there that's not making him quite coherent.
I haven't had any drugs since Friday. About killed me, but it's a different story.
Okay, share
Do
it.
tell it on Saturday. Do tell the story on Saturday.
I don't want to make you upset, but I didn't. I decided to abstain from, deciding how this match was gonna go.
Hey,
Yeah.
you abstain all
But
the
I
time.
didn't want to make you upset,
that
so that's
team.
why I abstained.
You abstain, Gary. Come on.
Mm.
Alonso, Everton versus Leeds. It's the second in you. Who gives? Who
Who
really cares?
cares?
Who really cares?
Who cares deeply? To piss Tony off to say the opposite. Game of the week. This is my second.
Alonso is the
Edition.
Tony antidote.
Right. So I forgot who's playing now.
Everton Leeds.
Right. Every time Leeds lose a game, Tom gets really sad and really down and saying, "I hate football."
Yeah, I hate football.
But you know
yeah.
what? Right now he's got wrestling, so
Well, it's just not the same.
It's
Gary.
not
It really
the same.
isn't.
It's football, Gary.
Right. And I want
If Tribal Chief loses Saturday, he might be
I want
very
Tom to be happy before the wrestling starts. Right.
Mhm.
Go for Leeds.
Yeah,
On this one.
yeah. That's yeah, it's going to be a 3:00 kickoff for him. Okay, the second Who Gives a Fuck game of the week, or
Third.
the third in Tony's triple matinee is Tony. Go ahead, you go first. Chelsea at home to Southampton.
Chelsea. Fuck it. They have to do something at one point, don't they?
They have to win sooner or later, Gary. Chelsea at home
you know
to
what? I
Southampton.
want chaos, so why not?
You're
why
getting
not?
chaos every time they draw. You're getting chaos.
Yeah, but this time they just lose to Southampton.
That
Southampton's
would
looking
be
for a new
epic.
manager, right?
That would
So
be epic, right?
losing at home to losing at the bridge to Southampton, that would just be perfect.
Maybe chaotic.
Yes. Too many sponge bats for Tony. Can't keep his mind on the job. And
Ew.
we know he's wearing a shirt anyway, right?
Yeah, I don't. You know what? That's not even. Oh, my head hurts now.
Southampton ain't winning.
It's just not-
Alonso, Chelsea at home to Southampton. The third in who really
Mike
cares?
cares, yeah. So I think it'd be a win for Southampton.
A win for
I think-
Southampton.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Gary, I think, has something working here. And we're gonna go from our old friends and Ainsley Lake Niles. Yeah.
Ah, nice. Okay. Gary,
Mm.
Man City have to go to all seriousness now. Man City have to go to Nottingham Forest. I think now we're going to be watching Arsenal results and we'll be watching City results with more interest.
I do have a quick question, Ray.
Okay, go ahead. Break the flow. Go ahead. It's like
How has
you
Mahir almost
professionally fouled me
And
while
1
I was
minute
cutting
has to
through
go fast.
midfield.
Now you want to ask a
how has
question.
Mahir
That's some
almost caught
nonsense
you and
question.
Gary?
What's the nonsense you want to talk about now?
Mahir almost catching you. Two of the
I don't care
What was this question?
about
How has
nonsense.
Mahir caught up with you and Gary?
How has Mahir caught up with us? He picked winner. Why is he up with us? Yeah, he did that. He came up there. He got the points.
I was just asking how he closed in. He's
I don't
always
know.
He got picked better than us, Tony.
Tony, we're coming for you.
How many points are you behind me, Ray?
Well, you should be looking at Sam first of all. I'm like 17 points behind.
I've done really well in the past couple of weeks.
No, what am I? 27 points back.
I
Yeah,
was very say you're bad, very bad, Ray.
27 points back. Okay. I was trying to talk to Gary there for a second.
Yes,
Right?
sir.
Not
You're like 5 Dallas touchdowns.
Oh my
behind.
God! Don't you? This is a Tony fan circle.
Tony.
Hey, I've been gone.
So hi.
You haven't been gone. You just told me you've been doing shows and you've been in the hospital for
No,
how
I'm
long?
saying tonight I have been.
Okay, Gary.
He's-
Nottingham Forest. They beat Leeds at home. They beat Leicester at home. They beaten Liverpool at home. Do we have any hope for City?
Yeah, I mean, this season's been crazy, right? Teams have come out of nowhere and done a job. They're playing at home. City could have a little bit of a letdown. Could is it's a really, really big word.
Slim. Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of feel like, you know what?
It's a
Yeah, I
difficult
would.
place to go to.
Yeah, no,
If
and
City
you know,
go.
and it's not like they've won 3 out of their last 5 matches, so they're playing pretty well right now, right? Because I mean they're 14th, right? So I don't know. I'm gonna go with a draw just because I want to see drop points.
Yeah,
I'll-
listen.
I'll-
BX says City will dismantle Forest. Watch Haaland break the 30 goal mark. It's most likely going to happen, but they've had a tough game with us. We gave them a tough game. They've had to go to extra lengths to beat us, to
They
wrestle.
have a Champions League game to
Let's
worry
not forget, they're the champions and they came back against us and they needed to win and they did that.
about. Don't forget
Arsenal,
they have a midweek Champions League game.
yeah, coming up against Leipzig. If Arsenal want to be champions, we have to play like we want to be champions and go and win against Villa. We put pressure on City to do something at Forest. If they win, they win. But we need to take care of business now. Tony, City away to Nottingham Forest, Tony.
Holland 3. City's gonna win, right?
City's going to win. Okay. Thank you for being optimistic. Alonso?
Mhm. We all want Forest to win, but City are just too good right now.
Yeah. They could be in a position where they're going to string some wins together. We've looked at what Arsenal are going to do in the next 6 or 7. We need to do what we did at the start of the season, win 5 games in a row,
Yeah.
and put some pressure on City as
Yeah,
well.
learn to play defense again.
Yep.
So, I'm hoping for the best. Like Gary has said, this has been a crazy season. And it'd be crazier if Nottingham Forest beat City, but let's be fair here. It's like City are just they want to win the championship, right? The trophy at the end of the year, so they're gonna do everything they can to prevent Arsenal from winning, and the only way to do that is to continue winning games. I think it'll be a close race to the end, but anyway, my point being is that City will win this game.
Yep, no problem. We got 16 games left. We'd like to add at least another 10 or 12 wins to those 16. We got to win about 12 out of those 16 games that we're going to be playing. And yes, we have to go to Anfield. We have to go to Newcastle. We have to go to Etihad. We're going to hear that more and more. You know what I mean? Newcastle at home to Liverpool, Gary. Liverpool, if they've got any hopes of getting in the top 4, this is a fixture that they need to beat Newcastle.
True. Newcastle's home. Newcastle's defense has been pretty good. Liverpool needs, Liverpool scores, then I think it's over
But they're
for
just not that
Newcastle.
team.
So I don't know. They've drawn 4 of the last 5. Newcastle. They're due a different color. Ugh.
You think they're going to win, huh?
That's the
That'd
only
be
thing
Liverpool.
that's the only thing that will put a smile on my face, right? Is if they win and beat Liverpool and knock them and make them have to struggle. That would be, I guess that's chaos, right?
That Morley guy, he annoys me now. I'm just sort of.
Mm.
Have you seen that Liverpool guy
Mm-mm.
on TikTok? He's annoying. I'm sure some people know about him. Alonso, Newcastle at home to Liverpool. I think Newcastle get that win, like Gary said. Oh, Alonso's frozen. All right. We'll give it 1 second, see if he comes in. Okay. Liverpool will nick it, says BX Gunner. Steven said Newcastle win. Alonso, what have you got? Newcastle at home to Liverpool.
I think Liverpool are too good to be in a position where they're at. I think I've seen Cody Gakpo score in Champions League, I believe. Did he score Champions League? Or he scored against Everton, right? That will help him in his confidence to score more goals, or at least be in the box doing something. They're not the team that the fans hope for, but I think Liverpool motivated will beating Newcastle. They got too many good players in that team. But I think it'll be a 2-1 victory. I think Newcastle draws a lot because they play good defense.
Mm-hmm.
But moving forward, you don't have the right pieces to score a lot of goals right now. So I think Newcastle will sneak through a win.
Okay. Newcastle will sneak the win. Tony, Newcastle at home to Liverpool.
Just glancing at it, almost have to say draw because Newcastle haven't started off since the World Cup very well. They're kind of struggling like us. They're not conceding goals, but draws have been pretty common, so I'll go with a draw.
Okay. Tony, Man United at home to Leicester.
Leicester.
Ooh. Did you pick your upset yet?
I have it between two games, right?
Okay. Don't let that go through the weekend. You have to pick it before the game starts. You know? I don't think you have a strategy. Tom thinks that you're very clever about this. I don't think you're that clever about it.
I don't have a... Why would I be clever by like last week? Like 7 of the games go by and then pick. I mean,
yeah, Tom was like, I think that's a very interesting strategy that Tony has. Anyway, Alonso, Man United at home to Leicester. Tony thinks Leicester's going to win.
And Ray, is that your best Tom impression?
Yes.
Right.
John
So
Warren is here. Go ahead, Alonso.
interesting, Tony, because I do have Leicester beating Manchester United. Interesting.
hell has
Interesting.
frozen over.
Oh, great. Anyway, I think Leicester are on a good run right now, and I think it's credit to Brendan Rodgers. I think, in my opinion, he's always been a good enough coach. Not great, but he gets his team out of pickles. I think the players around him were just not mature enough, I guess, for his style of play.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do manage to not get relegated, I think you have to give Brendan Rodgers credit for sticking it through. And I think they're on a run right now, and I think that'll carry over to beating United. I think United are kind of overrated as of Rashford. Most do you have really, So I think Rashford has done a good job of carrying the team. Because without him, they are like maybe sixth or seventh place team. I think it'll be a close game. I think that's will kind of beat United.
It'll be the same way they say about City without Haaland's goals. Where would United be, Gary, without Rashford's goals?
True.
I think Man United win this one. They're at Old Trafford.
That's the only reason why they might win it, but I do want chaos. So
I do think they need to win it as well because they're gonna go next weekend. They have the Carabao Cup final with Newcastle, where every Arsenal fan can't decide. It's probably Newcastle we want to win, right? In that
Mm.
Carabao Cup final, we don't
So
want
yeah,
United getting that silverware. Tony's favorite coach is Ten Hag, right, Tony?
Not my favorite coach. He's just a good coach. I did almost send you an interesting link earlier today on ESPN talking about what's went wrong at Ajax since Ten Hag's left.
Oh, okay.
It's a lengthy read, but it's
Right.
them being third, and there's pretty turmoil for them. Still have appointed a football director after the last one had to resign.
BX said United unfortunately look like they've built a good squad and system. You know, he has gotten them into a decent shape after less than a year. United are a strong mentality, unlike a certain team in North London, 2-0 United. I hope you're talking about Tottenham, that team. Okay, last one is that team. Gary, do I have to skip you? You don't want to talk about that team, right?
I want to say
Gary's not allowed to abstain after he got mad at me for doing it. So
Do you want to talk about that team versus West Ham, Gary?
I want to see them lose again in the toilet bowl.
Harry Kane will extend his.
He'll keep scoring, but they're gonna lose. So
What do you
yeah.
think about Harry Kane? Do you think he'll want to move, or will he stay?
I don't understand why he wants to stay. It's like, yes, I get the nostalgia of being with the same team for most of your career, if not all of your career, but you're not helping
at this
them.
point, how many teams are to go get him though, right?
United could go get him. Newcastle.
I mean, any team in Europe could. There's
That's what I was about to say.
there's teams in Europe that could use him, right?
Chelsea.
Think about how much better he'll play against in teams in Europe if he's playing in the Premier League, scoring all the goals he is, and if he goes to some other league in France or Spain or something like that, or Italy, right? Not France. Is it France? Did I have that right? France, Spain, or Italy? Yeah, he could actually compete for get trophies, and maybe even compete in Champions League.
Trophies are his kryptonite.
Yeah. So I get it, but I don't get it because he's not helping them by staying.
He's got an Audi Cup
they're not gonna move on.
Mhm.
And if he stays, they have to pay him all that money to do what?
Alonso?
Harry Kane is going to go to Germany and play for Borussia Mönchengladbach.
That doesn't sound like that. Well, he better stay there. That's the option.
Kane would bang at Milan. West Ham win will cause Tottenham to fire Conte. Yeah,
Really?
Conte's sick, and he went to the Champions League game. They lost. Didn't they lose their Champions League game, Tony? Yeah.
Yeah.
Chelsea lost their game as well. So there's two poor teams that are going to go out of Europe very quickly, I would think, in the Champions League. Liverpool, another one, possibly. Do they play Liverpool? They play Madrid, I think, next week. Yeah. Okay, Tony, Tottenham at home to West Ham.
Boring draw.
Okay, I think Harry Kane will have some joy against West Ham. West Ham are that team that are just coasting toward the end of the season. Alonso?
Right. It's crazy because West Ham bought some good players in the transfer market over the summertime, and you have yet to see them do anything. But I think Sunday will be that day. I think they win 3-1 to West Ham.
Okay, 3-1 to West Ham. Okay, we'll leave it there. We'll get out of here unless anyone has final points finish up. You want to continue, Alonso? Finish up your final points.
Right. So I just want to say thanks to everybody for joining. Everybody in the chat. Good to see you, Ray, Tony, Gary, Stan. And make sure on Saturday, make sure you watch the 4 Nelson podcast as they go live on 20 late because of work. But make sure you support that podcast as well. The 4 Nelson.
Mhm.
The Fools. Follow the Fools on Saturday. They hate me when I say that, don't they? Tony, hate me when I say that.
I love it.
And pay attention to who will be doing color commentary.
Okay. See the teasers, Gary? They're teasing us.
Mhm. I'm done.
Gary's not impressed.
Yeah.
All right, Gary. Listen, it was a tough one yesterday, losing 3-1. I get quite quiet for about an hour or two, but then
Quiet all fucking day, right? What are you doing?
family life means you have to pretend to exist. You know what I mean? You have to pretend to be happy. You have to pretend to be connected with the real world and interested in things. For me, 24 hours, I've sort of come around to thinking we played really well, but it just showed where we need to go out and improve. You know, what are your thoughts on the game and how are you feeling?
I'm trying to move on, I guess. You're talking about you were talking about the City game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I think.
How do you feel after that? How do you feel after that? Do you get a little bit down?
I don't.
Quiet?
Not really, because I think I believed we could play better. Believe we could have got a win, but I'm not surprised by how things turned out, just because of everything else we talk about all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
all the things that we talk about all the time has come to fruition, as they say, and that's why it looked the way it did. So that's on Tedder. Some of that stuff, some of that's on the players, some is on just unlucky because of injuries and whatnot. But we put ourselves in a situation to get at least a point out of that match. Just to say that not too many times have we not had an opportunity to do that in matches, but we definitely did on Wednesday. So,
Gary, I think when you look at Man City and last year we lost 1-2. It kind of shows you that we can compete with them,
Thank you, BX.
right? And last night, or yesterday rather, was kind of a heartbreaking way to end the game because those 2 goals that we conceded, or Arsenal conceded, were indicative of how far we've come and how far we need to be. And that first half was amazing to me, in my opinion, because we fought back and made a game out of it.
Mhm.
And we didn't give up the second half. We didn't look like we wanted to win. They looked like they didn't want to win the game. They played it like they wanted to play like a draw.
Yeah, that's the disappointing part about it. City increased the intensity. Let's do a quick roll call here. BX Gunner, thanks for joining us. Stephen, the Arsenal Misfit, was here. Don Juan was here. Who else have we got here? Thunder Road was in, right? Thanks, Thunder Road, for joining us. Alonzo Spencer was here. Tony was here. Gary and Stan. The Assembled. And who else we got? Let's go back up a little bit more. There was Lawrence Emmanuel at the beginning as well. So thanks everyone for joining. Tony, as is tradition. Gary, thanks for being here as always. Stan, Alonso, Tony from the hospital.
Yep.
Get better, Tony.
For the 4th time this week. Sorry that this time I kind of get caught away a few times, but As
Nurse
as
Cratchit,
always, I'm sitting here smiling
Nurse
like
Cratchit was
normal.
galling, right?
And one of the conversations I had when went away, the nurse that's been here the last 3 nights, I was sitting there talking about appreciating the way I'm smiling, knowing what I've been through and all that, and saying it's uplifting, considering all the people that come in there bitch and moan and expect them to do this and that. And I'm just sitting there pleasant, smiling.
Good on you.
Yep.
Good on you. All the things that's going on for you, and you know, you have a good outlook on things. Gotta give you props for that. Okay, we'll get out of here. We'll play Gary's video, right? And we'll get out of here. Instead of welcome to the show, thanks for watching, everybody.
Good night,
We're out of
Tony.
here. Good night, Tony. A disappointing defeat against probably the best team in the land other than us. There are 18 other teams that we can beat up on, and we need to start beating up on one of them at the weekend. Alonzo, thanks for joining. Gary and Tony, thanks. We're out of here. We'll see you on the weekend. Take care, everyone, and be safe.